What's going on?
Just in here sports and
moving to a Tuesday. Yeah, me too. I'm sports and hard.
Tuesday's fine. It's no Wednesday, but we get it done.
Maybe.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. A lot of big promises. I don't know. I'm not really feeling it.
Well, Danny's sick apparently, so I'm over here.
You know what?
Waiting for one of us to get it now.
My
Probably
wife,
you.
My wife got sick.
Oh, you're going down.
She went down today.
Yeah, so she's down, Danny's down. You'll be on your deathbed in like 16 hours. You're going down.
I was laughing at her because she, God bless her. I love her, but she's one of these people who believes that she just doesn't get sick. Like she has revisionist.
It's the Dan Lanning thing. It's a choice.
She's just been cocky sniffing me with my COVID, and she's just like, it just doesn't. I don't get it. Like, she thinks she's got tiger blood, and I just have bit my tongue until she got sick.
And you got a little smirk.
And this morning I did laugh at her. And she understood.
Yeah.
She understood.
Well,
and then I went and got her what she needed.
Look, when you are very braggadocious about the immune system, be prepared. It's like at that point you're Coach Prime. You're like, do you believe now? Well, and then you get your ass kicked by Nebraska.
That bull junkie roll.
There's going to be some people that are going to have some blowback against you.
Like, why not just keep that to yourself? And by the way, it's such an insane thing to think. Like, I don't get sick. I mean, it's one thing to not get sick a lot.
Sure.
Right? Like,
we all get sick.
Yeah, you're a human being. Wait, you're saying you're not a human being? Like, did you see the promo for the new Aaron Rodgers documentary?
It's the most...
The Enigma.
I will say that is going to be because the trailer already is. It's going to be the most insufferable thing that we've seen in years.
So there's this new docu-series, whatever they call it.
His recovery.
It's on Netflix called Enigma, and the trailer for it has a guy who is working with Aaron Rodgers. I don't know who this guy is. Maybe he's some sort of trainer.
Yeah.
He's quoted on the trailer as saying, "I've worked with Kobe Bryant. I've worked with," I forget who else he mentioned, but the highest of high-level athletes.
Yeah.
And he said and he's saying this right in front of Aaron Rodgers.
No.
And he says the one thing they all have in common is they all think their bodies can do things that other bodies can't.
Yes.
And that goes back to the Aaron Rodgers, I'll be back before you. Yeah, dude, you have an Achilles just like I have an Achilles, and it's going to snap just like mine will snap. Like, these people that are so delusional that they think they're just somehow different than other human beings is hilarious. And my wife is one of those. Ha ha, you're sick.
There's a guy I follow on social media and YouTube. His name is Dr. Mike, and he's an exercise he's a doctor. He's a doctor in whatever I forget what the discipline is, but he's like an exercise scientist, and he's got a PhD. He's got a bunch of different degrees, and he's like a bodybuilder guy, and he makes fun of what he'll do is he'll take Aaron Rodgers, because Aaron Rodgers or Mark Wahlberg or all these celebrities and athletes, they always do these things with their trainers, like the Tom Brady guy, and they walk through this is what we do to train Patrick Mahomes, and he goes through and he makes fun of them. And that's one of the things he talks about is he goes, look, I'm not saying that these guys don't have any idea what they're doing, but he goes, you'd be amazed if you get someone like Aaron Rodgers, what he's willing to pay for some dumbass to tell him what he wants to hear and to come up with all these convoluted things that really don't work that well, but you'll pay a bunch of money because it's different than what everyone else is doing. And he goes, in reality, the same basics that people have been training are the same ways you should be training, and 99% of athletes. But you get that 1%, and it's not good enough for him. He's got to do the new thing. He's got to do the creative out of the box thing. And that's the Aaron Rodgers. Again, he's smarter than everybody. Right up until the point where his Achilles blows.
He thinks he is, but the reality is he's not. No. He's just really good at slinging a football.
Yeah, I don't know about anymore. It didn't look so good. Turns out with Kirk Cousins and Aaron Rodgers that when you're old and you tear an Achilles, which is it funny to think that 5 years ago this was a career ender? You never came back from this, and now we're like, oh, you'll be fine in 2 months. Yeah, it turns out that both of those guys don't look very good planning on that Achilles and throwing the football. Cousins worse than Rodgers, but he didn't look good either.
Remember when Rodgers said he could play at the end of last year?
Speed it up a year. Didn't look so.
And he's like, but there's no point because we can't make the playoffs. But I would.
Yeah. So Yeah, I will not be watching. Well, I'm kind of done with sports documentaries, and like I'm just out because they're not documentaries, and there will be no more self-serving, just insufferable hunk of crap than that. They're calling it the Enigma, for God's sakes.
He loves thinking that he thinks differently than everyone else.
Me and Buck were talking. How many times are we gonna hear like you should do a drinking game, but you'd probably die from alcohol poisoning, Like every time Aaron Rodgers says, we've been conditioned to believe, just take a shot and you will be blackout drunk. There'll just be a handful of those stupid phrases that you're just going to be like, oh my God, please shut up and play football.
He's pretty insufferable.
Yes.
That one.
Yeah.
Relax.
Well, anyway, sickness is going around. Danny's puking apparently.
Which means he's sitting right here, which means I'll probably be puking shortly. You'll definitely be dead. Your wife is down and out. She's cocky sniffing, apparently. Whoops.
Well, she was. She was cocky sniffing me, but now she's not.
Yeah. We got.
Hey, look, I'm not happy about it, but it is kind of funny.
Yeah. Well, it's like, there's just certain things that you don't want something to happen to someone, but when they do, you're like, well, I said yesterday, like if Rodgers had blown his Achilles on the 4th play, I wouldn't have been happy. I would have chuckled. I would have laughed. Like, I've made fun of gout for years. One day, if I get gout, you have every right to laugh at me because I think there's nothing funnier than someone getting gout. It's hilarious.
I wouldn't laugh at you if you got gout. I don't think that's that funny.
You probably should because
I have a friend who has gout.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, that ain't no joke.
No, but it's fun to make fun of someone with gout. It's the funniest of the diseases that you're going to get.
It just sounds funny.
Well, you have too much bacon toe. I'm sorry, that's hilarious.
Well, I only like
you need like a specialty shoe and you're like limping around with a cane because your big toe. It's like getting a bunion that derails you.
I would only mock you for gout because you mock gout.
Absolutely.
Like if my wife got gout, she never mocks gout. So I'd be like, oh, that sucks. You got gout.
Yeah.
But you specifically mocking gout, hopefully you do get gout. I actually do wish you get gout. Yeah.
Like I said, there's karma there. I have mocked gout for like 15 years. And one day if gout comes for me, I will sit there and I'll take it on the chin. I'll be like, yeah, here it is. But so far, it hasn't. So when other people continue to get gout, I will continue to mock it. I'm sorry. I think it's funny.
I'd like to call for the ball.
Go for it.
Saw something today on I-5.
What do you got?
Run it by you here.
Yeah. Let's take it for a spin.
Well, this guy, he was driving a Silverado, and he was one of those guys that was on me before I knew it,
Yeah, he rolls up on you. It happens.
Like out of nowhere, all of a sudden he's tailgating me.
Was it a big Silverado?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, trucks, balls, yeah.
Kind of tricked out.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was nice truck. Anyway, I pulled over to the right, let him by.
That's what you should.
And on the back of his
window?
On
or
the window.
tailgate?
On the window.
Sure.
He had the 4-letter word that starts with F, which I think is pretty ballsy to put on your truck.
It does makes a bold statement about what you're about, but
a very bold yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's it's an aggressive move.
Pretty aggressive.
It's an aggressive move.
But after that was the word cancer.
Oh.
And he had F cancer on his windshield. And then he had the name of I assume a family member who passed.
Sure.
And then he had her birth dates on there. And it said 1938
to
2020.
That's a good long run.
You're thinking.
Do you see where I'm going here?
Sorry, but yeah.
Yeah, I see.
So wait a minute. So she was, God rest her soul, and look, cancer sucks.
Yeah, I'm sorry you lost your mother.
You lost whomever,
whatever
her name is.
We're assuming that
Or
that's
your
Nana or mom, something, right? It's an elderly family member.
She was 82 years old.
She had a great run.
It's a good long run.
So I'm kind of thinking in my head, I'm like, first of all, tattooing something onto your car is a bit like social media. It's not like you say something, even on the radio, you say something and a lot of people hear it and then they think about it and then it's a fleeting thing and it's gone.
Yeah, it's just you're shouting into the void.
When you tattoo it on your car and everybody sees it as you drive by, it's like a social media post where it just sits there and people can think about it. And I just sat there and thought about that and I'm like, should F cancer be maybe reserved for, I don't know, like.
You think there's an age limit to F cancer?
I mean, it was a thought I had.
Yeah.
I thought it was a little aggressive.
Well, let's see about this. So my dad passed away at 71 from cancer. Am I okay to F cancer at 71?
Everyone's okay to F cancer.
Yeah.
But to tattoo it on your car for an 82-year-old woman?
Yeah.
No, I don't know.
I felt like at 71, I felt like it was early. I didn't like when my dad passed, I didn't feel like that he had gotten everything out of it at 71. I think at 81, maybe I would have felt differently.
Yeah, I think you hit the big 8-0 and you're feeling like it's house money from that point forward.
But at the same time, I also don't understand. Like, we all hate cancer. Like,
well, that's why I said.
I thought when you said that there was an F, I assumed that there was going to be a Joe or a K in front of that. Yeah,
no.
It's usually the way that works.
No, F cancer's fine. I'm just saying, like, first of all, there's probably nicer ways to get the message out than that word on your car.
People do like the ribbon.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, exactly.
That's
just
away.
The pink ribbon.
Yeah.
You know, we all know what that
but
means.
Hey, this one got your attention, though.
Well, it sure did. But, and now I'm talking about it on the radio, but for God's sakes.
Hey, man, sometimes I'll say this.
I don't know.
If you told me that there was a back window decal that covered most of the window, I'm actually pretty happy that is F cancer, because most of the time that's an American flag with a gun. See a lot of those, right? It's usually something very controversial. This is it's a bit aggressive, but I think we can all agree, unless there's one guy out there that's like, hell yeah, cancer, let's go. Maybe there is, but I would assume that the vast majority of us can rally around F cancer. Little aggressive, but I see where he's going. He's an emotional guy. He's an emotional guy that likes big Silverados.
Well, part of it is he was tailgating me.
Yeah.
Another part of it is just putting F cancer on your car is just a weird. I mean,
can I say this? Just putting things on your car in general, it fascinates
it's just
me.
odd.
Especially when they're super specific and like it's the one thing beyond the car's brand and make that makes it unique, and you're like, you put these unique things on there. Like, why are you putting, like, when anyone memorializes anybody on there, you see the like R.I.P. whatever. Some people do with their dogs. Like, I didn't know your dog. I didn't know your uncle. Like, why is that important to me?
I feel I just feel the same way about anything. Like, if you go to a sporting event and you're wearing like a duck hat, you know, cool. But the guy that wears the duck hat, the duck shirt, the duck socks, the duck shirt or shoe, you know, the whole thing, I'm like, Same guy with the car. If you got an O on the back of your car, that's fine. But super duck car guy, that always fascinates me. Like that's
like they have more than one duck sticker, and you're like, so the second one, you're really getting in there.
Yeah, it's like one of those things you really just gotta. I don't know. There's a lot of people that just like that message out there. They like to the subtle message escapes them. They like to bludgeon you. They like to nuclear it. They like to announce their presence with authority. And in this case, F cancer.
Or people who there's that weird one that is tell your dog I said hi. Like a lot of people have that, and I'm like, what is that about?
I haven't seen that one.
Tell your dog. Be on the lookout. I don't know. It's like I like dogs. I like to pet them, I guess, is the sentiment.
I will show you. I'll pull it up.
Very odd to me.
There's a Prius in my neighborhood, and I don't know if the person owns it, but I think it's a visitor to the house. And I got to show you this, because when I tell you that it is covered in messages, I'm going to say, and I'm not exaggerating here, there's probably 37 bumper stickers, and not on the back. It covers the car. And I see this thing quite a bit parked out in front, and I took a photo of it once, and I've always wanted to see who's driving it, because you want to talk about an aggressive thing. That person's got a lot that they would like to say about the world, and they put it out there just on a day-to-day basis. And it does make you stop. I mean, to their credit, if you put a bumper sticker, I'm probably not going to stop and read it, but I've stopped and read that car at least 4 dozen times. Because like each time you read about 3 of them, you're like, oh my God. And then you go about your day. And then you see it again, you're like, well, I'm back.
There's a truck in the gym parking lot that I go to that has in like a very tidy script, please don't honk, my mother's dead. I'm like, what is that?
It's interesting. Well, welcome to the Dead Moms Club.
Again, why on your car? Why are you sharing this with the world? What does it have to do with people honking at you?
Yeah, take a look at that Prius right there. And that's and they're like, I think they're homemade. Like, right? Isn't that?
Oh yeah, they're not even bumper stickers.
No, they're not bumper stickers. It's
he
like
printed them off on his printer and taped them to his car.
yes,
Nice.
like laminated them and taped them to his car.
Smart. They're just temporary.
You want a few of the sayings?
Yeah.
You guys want a few of these?
Sure.
You are you are at your strongest when you are calm.
Yeah, they're putting that out into the universe.
We are living on this planet as if we had another one to go to. Don't adapt to the energy in the room. Influence the energy in the room.
Don't you want to see the person driving this car?
If you think you love freedom, but you don't care if it applies to everyone, what you actually love is privilege.
This person is like an Aaron Rodgers. They think that they are smarter than every person.
By failing to prepare, you are preparing to fail. We've heard that one.
Yeah, I've heard that one.
Give up your fear as a justification for not to take action. There's a really long one on the window.
Oh yeah, dude, they're all over this thing.
Oh, it's a Trump one. I'm not going to read that.
Yeah, you can't read that.
He doesn't like Trump.
No.
Or she.
Shocker. That person doesn't like Trump.
If laughing at my thoughts makes you feel better, okay. I hope you heal from the trauma that you hold. Peace to all. Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah.
In your face.
Putting a lot of love out there in the universe.
Here's one that says meth is a lie. Yeah, right by the gas can.
Meth is a lie?
It says meth is a lie.
I don't know what that means.
I was lost. I found meth. I lost meth. I found myself.
So this person likes meth?
Well, I think at one time maybe they did.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
Recovering drug addict here. Let's not let money be the status symbol anymore. That's on the front tire.
Yeah. Of their Prius.
Okay, seen enough. And I actually know what that guy or gal looks like. I think that's pretty obvious.
Well, I will say every time I see that Prius, I kind of loiter just because I kind of want to see who's coming out. But so far, no luck.
All right. Let's get to going. Anyway, I am with the guy, the F cancer guy. I just want to state we're all against cancer.
Mm-hmm.
Cancer sucks. And yes, cancer, no matter what age, it sucks. I thought that was a little much.
Someone in the Vancouver 4 text line. Turns out Rob hates old people with cancer. Go figure.
No, you're misinterpreting what I'm saying.
That's not me. That's the text line. That's the Vancouver 4 text line. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. All right. Let's get to going. We've got our poll question pertaining to Big Ten football coming up next on The Fan.
Another
Vancouver Ford text line 503-864-6326. A couple of texts before we get to our poll. Apparently, someone said that because we were talking about bumper stickers and people putting weird things on their car.
Yeah, and we were just sharing over the break all of the, because you tend, at least I do. I know Buck had a bunch too. I always take photos. I'm like, I can't believe this. Just so there's proof. You're like, oh yeah. Like there was one I showed Rob, a lady the other day had a bunch of them, and then instead of the baby on board sign, it said, I love my anal plug. And
which she thinks is funny.
Either that or she really loves her plug. Either way, it seems like a bold thing to put on the back of your Yaris.
I also love the mom who thinks she's being edgy, and instead of doing the baby on board, it's baby up in this bitch. Yeah. And you're like, oh wow, you're the tough mom.
Like this guy says, people think displaying slogans on their cars is the same thing as having a personality. Like having gauged ears, thinking makes you not boring.
It does a lot of heavy lifting for your lack of personality.
That is
a good one.
That's a great text.
Yes, it is.
And somebody else said Buckley, you were saying, tell your dog I said hi.
Apparently it's a charity.
I haven't seen that, but they're saying it is a charity. Yeah.
Huh.
At We Rate Dogs.
I'm gonna start my own saying I'd like to personally thank your mom.
Some people have those like I support single stripper moms or something like that. Like, and again, why would you put that on your car?
I support them, but again, I think F cancer, but
$2 at a time.
Another one Buckley has here, he sent us, it says, somebody put a little, it's on the bottom bumper, it says, on a Forester, it says, here I go in my gay little car. Again, why?
I don't know.
I almost tried to get in that car because I thought it was mine. I have the same white Forester.
Of course you do, Buck.
Proud parent of a great
Labradoodle in the front seat?
No.
Proud parent of a great kid who is sometimes an a-hole, and that's okay.
See,
is it okay? I don't think that's okay. Why are you thinking that's okay?
I just often, you ever like going through a store and
teach your kid not to be an a-hole.
You see something and you're like, who the hell buys that? And then it turns out that person, that's who buys it. Got to put this on my Forester stat.
All right. Here's the poll today. Well, actually, let's go to yesterday first, okay?
Yeah.
Yesterday's poll question on X at 1080 The Fan, we asked you, Oregon 37, Boise State 34. Was it a good win?
Mm-hmm. I'm guessing the answer to that is no.
76% of our listeners said no.
Yeah. We got higher expectations.
And then 24% of our listeners said, hell yeah, it is. Come on, man. Got a dub. Yeah.
Wins are wins. I mean, Lanning was pretty upbeat in his press conference.
Hey, that was a nice win.
Yeah, he wasn't.
I don't know if it was a good win.
Thought he'd be a little more sour, but keep him positive.
Well, it's early. A little too early to be that sour.
Yeah.
You're gonna wear people out
with
that much sour.
Got to wait for your red assness to kind of build throughout the course of the season. The pyramid.
So today's poll question, now that we've seen a few games, who do you think is the second best team in the Big Ten behind Ohio State?
But that's a hell of a good question right now.
Is it Oregon, USC, Penn State, or Nebraska? Huskers.
God, I mean,
well, my.
No one has a good win, or good wins, I should say.
Well, I mean, it still could be Oregon. They aren't playing like it, but
no, I mean, I guess I'd have to lean from all those teams are talented. I think USC's looked the best, even though they haven't played anyone. So maybe USC. I mean, it's so hard. And this is the part I don't like about college football. And you can even say this sometimes about the NFL. It's like, Sam Darnold, well, he did it against the Giants. Like, give it a couple weeks, but, and in college football, when you're a team that's really talented, whether that's SC, Penn State, Oregon, whatever, it's hard to judge you when you're playing no one. But for right now, the only reason you can say Oregon is the second or even third best team in the Big Ten is that we know it's a talented team and it went into the season with expectations. But if you're going just on what's on the field, Oregon's not even the third best team in the Big Ten. Far from it. There's nothing Oregon has shown right now that leads you to believe that that's like a Big Ten championship team. So, if we're going to go based on not really playing anyone, who's looked the best, it's probably been USC.
Well, I mean, I think there is one thing Oregon has shown, and that is they have some big play bros.
Sure.
And if you look at Notre Dame losing, for example, they lost to Northern Illinois, man.
Yes. And they have no passing offense to speak of.
I mean, they have no offense. Like, they do not. So this idea that Notre Dame, and they do have an easy schedule. We went through that last week, but the idea that Notre Dame is just going to rebound and go to the tournament, watch their offense.
Yeah.
I don't know what you think or how you think they're going to be able to run the rest of the table with no offense.
It's dreadful.
Oregon's a little different in that, look, they are playing kind of whack.
Mm-hmm.
There's no question. They have surprised us with some of the mistakes in the offensive line play and the inconsistencies and some penalties, some turnovers. There's a lot to fix, and Dan Lanning has said as much.
Mm-hmm.
But the one thing that they have in spades are dudes who can just bail you out.
Yeah.
And that has happened so far with them a couple of times. Special teams, Tez, if you know, like Stewart, Dylan Gabriel is one of the better quarterbacks in the country. The running backs are going to get uncorked here. I mean, they got dudes all over the place.
Yeah, but
that can make plays. And that and at Notre Dame, at least on offense, you know, when a team loses or when a team barely pulls one out, you can see it's like they're, you know, who do they go to? Well, Oregon does have a lot of guys to go to. Now, that's not to say they're not going to lose, but we see this all the time in college football where you just have big-time players who, when you're not playing your best, make big-time plays and you win a game.
I can't, after 2 weeks, if you're asking me to project, again, I'm trying to eliminate where I think these teams are going to go. And I actually, you know, now that I guess I was ill prepared for your poll question, but now that I'm kind of sitting and stewing in it,
How dare you?
It's really not even close. It's USC and it's by a landslide. USC beat LSU on a neutral field with their defense, by the way, held LSU, regardless of what you think of LSU, that's always a good offensive football team, held them to 20 points. They blew out, I think, Utah State, if I'm not mistaken, it was like 48-0, something like that. So they've looked good on both sides of the ball. They have by far the best win. Nebraska hasn't beaten anyone. You know, they get Colorado. Penn State looked good week 1 against West Virginia and then looked crappy in week 2. Oregon is yet to look good. Michigan got absolutely trounced by Texas. Didn't look like they belonged on the field with them. So
did you talk about my Huskers?
Yeah, I mentioned Nebraska.
Okay.
But again, I mean, UTEP and Colorado. I mean, Colorado's awful. I mean, Colorado's going to be like a 3 or 4 win team. So just based on the 2 weeks, and this has, I mean, it's impossible to say going forward who's going to be, because like you said, I agree with what you're saying in that if Oregon Oregon's defense has been pretty good. And I know people are going to be critical about the Boise State thing. I really like the Oregon defensive line. I really like the secondary. I actually think the secondary, led by Mohammed, that was like the best transfer guy they got. I mean, that dude is an absolute stud. And their back end is playing really well. And the 2 big tackles they have, actually they have more than that. But Harmon, the transfer from Michigan State, has been just an absolute beast. The linebacking play leaves a little something to be desired for me. We knew going in that was going to be a question mark, and they're still rotating guys through. So I actually really have liked the defense. You know, the 170-yard play against Boise, but that's the best back in the country.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but on the Genty topic, Ashton Genty, the Boise State running back.
Yes.
First of all, that guy was even better. And you and Joey were propping him up big time. Lanning propped him up big time last week. I'm like, okay, I can't wait to watch this guy.
He's the real deal.
Dude, he was even better than you guys said.
Yeah.
Like, he is that. I don't even know why he's playing. Yeah. He's gonna be seriously. Yeah. He has no chance
at Boise.
He's at Boise. Yep. He has no chance at the Heisman.
No.
Because he's at Boise. Yes. Although he's probably the best player in the country. And we know he's going to be a first-round pick.
Like, why isn't he an SC or something? Like, I don't know.
Well, I'm just saying, like, why not shut it down, dude? The only thing that's going to happen to you is you're going to get hurt. Like, unless you've got NIL money that, you know, you have to give back if you don't play so many games or something. I don't know. I think it's funny that as good as that, I mean, that dude is awesome. Yeah. I feel like Oregon actually played him all right.
They did. Minus the one.
It's just
the big run.
But sometime, and that was and Lanning even said that was just a blown.
Yeah, it was blown fit.
Blown fit. So, in other words, sometimes the other team has dudes too, and that dude is as good as you will ever see.
So, I agree. That's why I said I'm not down on the Oregon defense at all. And the Oregon offense, like you said, there are dudes. There is explosive plays to be made. And so, I still think that the ceiling for the Oregon team is very, very high. But I couldn't tell you right now that I have any faith that it's going to get there. It could, But the best team right now, yes, to answer your poll question, definitively, I am planting my flag in the ground right now after week 2. The second best team in the Big Ten, and it is not close, is USC.
All right. Vote hard. The question is at 1080 the fan on X. Tell you what, that quarterback for Nebraska is pretty good.
Yeah.
That Raiola guy.
Yeah, the Mahomes clone.
He's a freshman, and if he plays clean, my Huskers got some D. Watch out.
Yeah. Yeah, freshman quarterbacks.
What do you mean?
Yeah, they'll stub their toe.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah,
in the bigger games.
Freshman quarterbacks will lose you some games.
All right. Well, we'll see. Matt Rule. Okay, so real quick on Matt Rule, my guy, Matt Rule.
Mm-hmm.
In his second season at Temple, Baylor, and now at Nebraska. So at Temple, he went 2-10, and then went 6-6 in his second season.
Mm-hmm.
Baylor, he took over a team that went 1-11, and then 7-6 his second season. And now Nebraska, they went 5-7, and they are 2-0, and they actually have a decent quarterback.
And they look good.
And if that quarterback, they've always had the defense. I mean, they had the defense last year. It's just they had no offense. But this quarterback, if he does not turn it over, watch out for Nebraska, man.
Could be fun.
Could be real fun.
Could be a fun Big Ten.
And the former Pac-12, 21-2 thus
they're
far.
rolling. Including Cal just beat Auburn for God's sakes.
What could have been?
Auburn's so mad their fans are asking the quarterback for money on Venmo.
Yeah, they want their money back.
They've found his Venmo handle, and they're sending him Venmo requests for their bets that they lost.
All right, so there's your poll. Vote hard. Coming up next, who is Jordan Mason, and where the hell did he come from? Here's Buck.
Paramount Blue.
We'll get into some Civil War talk coming up.
Some Hall & Oates, by the way, in the background there.
Yeah, Private Eyes, bro.
They hate each other, though. Is it weird to,
What do you mean?
They hate each other. Now it's it's kind of weird to celebrate the works of Hall & Oates knowing that they hate each other's guts.
But their continued gigs are still tied together, so they will still tour. I've seen them tour together a couple times.
They're still touring?
I've seen John Oates separate. Well, it's been like 5 or 6 years
money.
now.
Well, I thought, but recently, I thought like there was like I think they're donezo.
Yeah,
are they totally donezo?
I think Daryl Hall.
I think one called the Advocates. I think Daryl Hall's like, F you.
I feel like he's doing his own thing, but I'm not sure. Yeah, they don't like each other, but a lot of bands don't like each other. You
need that divorce settlement.
Liam and Noel Gallagher don't like each other, and they're playing.
Well, that's because they're both getting divorced. So again, when the wife gets half, you gotta figure out a way to make some new coin.
What are we talking about? Oh,
I don't know. Civil War.
Jordan Mason.
Oh yeah. For a minute,
did you see that guy?
I was like, huh? Oh yeah, yeah. And then he stepped in it in the post-game press conference.
So who is this guy? And where did he come from, and why is he so good?
Me and Buck were talking about this yesterday because at the beginning of the game, we were both, Buck's the Niner guy, and I was like, who the hell is this? He's from Georgia Tech. It's his 3rd year, and he was an undrafted guy.
Undrafted.
But he's only been with the Niners. They picked him up. He made the roster, like practice squad, and he's been there since his 3rd year. And
really, he's been there for 2 years?
Yeah,
this is his 3rd.
This is his 3rd year.
Yeah.
Because Mitchell got hurt, right? Elijah Mitchell.
I believe that's correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so that's why this guy's playing. He
is their guy.
He comes out last night, Niners Jets, and he runs for 147 yards, which I'm told by internet is the 4th most all time by an undrafted player in Week 1.
It's pretty good.
Pretty amazing.
Well, and he had more carries than McCaffrey had all of last year in one game.
He looked like a badass.
Well, also too, they didn't have after that they've got Patrick Taylor Jr. Who, like, he was the guy. Like I guess they told him. I guess they told him on Friday, hey, man, buckle the chin strap, brother. You're getting a lot of carries.
Or did they?
Yeah, oh, yeah. Or did they?
Shanahan claims I told him to be ready, but we couldn't have told him he was playing because we didn't know.
Well, that's so dumb because you can tell someone, hey, probably you're going to go because McCaffrey was listed as, the people are trying to do like this big gotcha moment. Like, there's a million ways to slice that thing.
Yeah, so Jordan Mason after the game said, I knew on Friday I was starting. Well, the world didn't know that Christian McCaffrey was out until right before the game.
Yeah, and it was because
you're not supposed to do that.
Well, in the last injury report, I think he was listed as doubtful or questionable. So
he was questionable, and if they thought he wasn't going to play, he should have been doubtful.
But here's the thing: that's so stupid.
It is stupid, but the NFL has a big issue with it.
By the way, in the 2 years, he had 28 carries last night. Last season, he had 40 carries total. So
damn.
He toting that rock, and I'll tell you what, that man was running. Like, what did someone say? That dude was running like he needed to pay the rent, and he did. When you're a backup running back like that, dude, your shelf life is so small. You have a brief window, especially at that position, to prove you can do it. And you're going to get the bulk of those carries Monday Night Football. Dude, let's go. And that dude was a beast.
By the way, I have the Mason post-game interview where he says he found out Friday, and then I have the post-game interview where he said he didn't actually doesn't want to answer that. Exactly. So here's the first one.
When did you find out that you were going to be starting?
When did I find out? Maybe Friday night, something like that. I was always prepared. I mean, we went through training camp. I was RB1 at training camp, so, just been preparing from there and just.
So then Shanahan is the first to hit the microphone on the podium afterwards.
I never told Jordan he was going to start. Told him he had to be ready a bunch, but that might have been Bobby or somebody trying to pump him up, but I knew he was going to have to play a lot. I told him that he was going to have to, it wasn't going to be like usual. He was going to be a number 2 back that was splitting a lot of the time. But no, he didn't know he for sure was doing that till today.
Did Christian have some sort of setback on Friday?
No, he didn't have a setback. I mean, it was on and off throughout the week. He was able to practice throughout the week. Just it was always bothering him to a degree, and sometimes it goes away, sometimes it comes back, and today was bothering him a little too much to where we didn't feel good about it.
And then, but then Mason gets asked about it one more time, and boy, he sounds way different.
When did you find out that you'd be in the starting lineup?
That question right there is why I'm at.
Is what?
That's why I don't like really talking to media, because you say one thing wrong, and then, I don't know. Just skip that question.
Skip that question.
I feel bad for the kid, man.
I do too. He was not ready for that.
That's probably his first interview that he's ever given on like national TV. And I'm sure there was something along the lines of, hey, there's a good chance Christian ain't going. So even if he does go, could be limited. There's a good chance, dude, you're our guy. He takes that as I'm starting. Next thing you know, this is getting blown up and they're going to try to make it into a big thing over the stupid injury report, and then someone afterwards probably came to him and was like, hey, dumbass, you can't say that. And he's like, I didn't know. Like, no one asked me questions.
Shouldn't they have prepped him for that?
Yeah, probably.
And so it's not really his fault.
No,
and it's also not the media's fault. I always hate that. Well, I hate asking questions. I hate answering questions from the media because you say one thing. Well, it's not the media's fault. You said something dumb.
Well, that didn't seem to me like he was blaming the media as much as like, I don't usually do this because I can only get myself into trouble.
And by the way, does Shanahan sound AI to you? Can you play that again?
I never told Jordan he was going to start.
Yeah, he does.
Told me he had to be ready a bunch, but that might have been Bobby or somebody trying to pump him up. But
go ahead and climb out of my ass for a while.
Sounds very AI.
Yeah, he's very well. It's kind of very robotic.
With this guy Jordan Mason, it makes it easier to wrap Christian McCaffrey in bubble wrap for a few weeks.
Absolutely.
I mean, until this guy goes down.
Well, I mean, you got the Vikings, the Rams, the Patriots, the Cardinals. I mean, it's not exactly a murderer's row.
They have a pretty tough schedule. I was looking at it today. I don't know it off the top of my head, but
well, I just gave you the first.
Well, that's early, but if you look at their full schedule, it's not that easy.
No, when he gets down to this, when it gets down to
Cowboys back to back.
Yeah, Lions are mixed in there. I'm just saying, like, if you're the Niners, dude, you saw it last night, and it's 1 week, and despite what people are going to overreact, the Jets are a good team. It's a good defense, and you bludgeoned them, right? And you did it with we did it without your most important player. Trent Williams, by the way, hasn't practiced once all training camp. Did you see, by the way, didn't record a single pressure against him. Turns out that guy's really good. Ayuk dropped a touchdown pass. Like, the Niners, when healthy, the Niners are the best or second best team in football. So if you're San Francisco, this is about managing bodies, making sure you're healthy at the end of the year, and you're going to have a chance to be there when the smoke clears on this. So if you, whether it's Mitchell, whether it's Mason, whether you do a three-headed sort of monster thing here, be careful with McCaffrey. And even if he comes back, you're not feeding that guy 28 carries. You want Christian McCaffrey in January. You don't give a rip about Christian McCaffrey right now.
Well, and as you noted, Mason got more carries in this game than McCaffrey did in any game last season. And if you can get this out of Mason, they're going to keep doing that with McCaffrey. They're just going to make sure he's fresh for the postseason.
And they've done this before when they had Mostert and Wilson.
Yep.
I'm not saying the Christian McCaffrey is special. Okay, that dude is the best all-around back in football.
But he doesn't need 30 touches in week 4 or 5.
And this is taking nothing away from Jordan Mason or Mitchell or Mostert or whoever. Dude, you put a big athletic guy back there behind that Niner offense, you're going to run the ball. Like, they've proven that they can run the ball with just about anyone. So, yeah, dude, eat up Mitchell, eat up Mason, keep feeding these guys the rock, and slowly work McCaffrey back in there to make sure that the calf or the shoulder or whatever the hell is going to be ailing him this year is good to go come January. But the Niners that's a statement win. There's a few statement wins every week in the NFL or every couple of weeks. And week 1, I don't know how big of a statement you can make, but with all the turmoil and all the question marks they had into training camp, the Niners planted their flag in the ground and let you know that, oh yeah, we're still really effing good. And the two best teams in the NFL right now, shocker, the Kansas City Chiefs and the San Francisco 49ers.
Well, the Beaver fans are feeling pretty good, sounds like.
Go Beavers, how about that?
They should.
Get a little cocky out there. We'll get to that coming up.
I don't know about cocky, but I think he got a chance.
And up next, a little broadcast talk. It's Isaac and Suk on The Fan. Hey, I'm going to stick around and tell you about the
and Souk on 1080 The Fan.
Couple broadcasting notes before we turn the page and look ahead to this week, which is Rivalry Week.
God, it's
Rivalry Week.
And yet neither one of them feels important.
It's odd, isn't it?
It's so weird.
It's very odd.
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask you about Manningcast. I know you're not a huge Manningcast guy.
Yeah, I was flipping over last night, checking out some of it.
Yeah, what did you think? Anything better this year?
It's just not my cup of tea. I try, and anytime I'm over there, it's usually for a grand total of about 10 minutes. And then I the only time I'll watch it is if the game is really uninteresting.
Right.
If it's a blowout or it's a crappy game that I don't care about, then maybe I'll flip over. But they do the big names, and even that, it just doesn't get me. I find the whole thing clunky.
They got Belichick on there.
I know, they got the hoodie. But I find the interactions, and they're not in the same room most of the time. It feels like that they step over each other a lot, and it's kind of clunky conversation, and like there's a lot of gaps because again they're all watching the game.
And there's a delay.
Yeah, it's just not my cup of tea.
I
get why people like it, but
I like it when the game sucks. Like you said that is exactly right. When the game is bad or you don't care, it adds some flavor, but I think it's really hard to watch a game that you want to watch like last night and follow it in that format.
Mm-hmm.
It just makes it hard.
Yeah.
Like I mean, I like the Mannings. I think
I do too.
The Mannings are great, and I think there's certainly a place in the landscape for the Manningcast. And you've seen a lot of shows like that now in sports, but I'm kind of old guy. I go back to the original broadcast.
The one time that I was flipping over yesterday, it was like Adam Sandler was on there, and it's like, okay, so what they have the hoodie, Sandler, and then they had what, Chris Jones? I didn't see Chris Jones.
I only see the things that go viral.
Yeah.
And that's another way to watch it.
Yeah.
Is inevitably something will be funny, or they'll have a clip that goes viral. Just watch that.
Yeah.
That's all you need to see, really.
It's just
hard to follow the game.
Yeah, and I tried to do that with the national title game, right, when they've done the coaches' corner stuff, and it just is.
Yeah.
It's not for me.
Are you into Peyton Manning though?
Am I into what?
Well, it's Peyton Manning. Yeah, you haven't seen that ad yet?
No.
Oh, yeah.
I have not.
He's got a new ad. Peyton Manning, he's everywhere.
That dude is everywhere. He's always been everywhere.
And he's got a new ad where he is painting, and the instructor of the, painting class comes over, and the whole bit is just, I don't even know what the ad's for. It's not Peyton.
Nationwide, it looks like, maybe.
Okay. Omaha! It's not Peyton, it's painting Manning.
Yeah. Yeah, I see it here.
And it's kind of funny.
Well,
I think he's funny.
When he was on SNL, he was one of the best athletes to ever do it. And I find Peyton Manning enjoyable. Like I was never a Colts or a Broncos fan at the end, but when he did the ad where he wanted the autographs from like the State Farm people, and I find him to be delightful. If you're talking best NFL personalities over the last 30 years, Manning's on my Mount Rushmore. I think he's way more interesting and fun than Tom Brady.
Yeah, but I think the question is he funny, or is he just sort of sports guy funny?
Oh,
I think he's really actually funny.
Oh, I don't know about that.
I do. I think he's great. And by the way,
like Will Ferrell's funny, Dave Chappelle's funny, like naturally funny. Peyton Manning is sports guy.
I think he's pretty funny.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, you're an old man too. And like
Andy's a close personal friend of mine.
Yeah, you watch the Golf Channel and you wear black socks and sit around at home. Like that's.
Well, look, if he were not in sports, I think he could hold his own. Like for example, the SNL thing. When you host SNL, man, you're going to get exposed.
Yeah.
And he was great on there.
He did a nice job.
So
he's better than Eli. I find Eli to be more.
See, I think he's funny too.
Yeah,
he's just more dry.
He's very dry. Yeah, someone's bringing up the cut that meat. Cut that meat.
Great ad.
Yes. His ads are fantastic. Like right now, the Kelsey Mahomes thing, the last couple years, I can't.
I'm with you.
I like all of those guys.
I'm going to give you the Mannings or the Kelseys.
I'm going to take the Mannings.
Me too.
And I really like Jason. I don't mind Travis. It's just
Mannings are more fun.
The Mannings are more fun.
Eli had a decent spot with Frank's Red Hot. With I put that S on everything.
Yeah.
He was he had a good little campaign with
But
them.
Peyton might be my NFL. I'm trying to think of it. Marshawn Lynch is really good. Marshawn doing anything, any commercial with Marshawn is fantastic.
See, I think he's funny.
Yes,
he's naturally
Marshawn
funny.
Lynch is naturally funny. See, there's like.
I'm just about that action, boss.
But I don't think Peyton is. I think Peyton is more of he gets it. He's willing to make fun of himself, and then he gets good people around him. I think Marshawn is just great. The son of a gun is down on the sidelines massaging Mike McDonald's shoulders. Like he's stealing carts. Like he's just is a fun guy. Peyton is more of a buttoned up and knows how to make fun of himself. Marshawn's just Marshawn. He's fantastic.
All right.
Like Ocho Cinco is that way. Chad Johnson or whatever the hell he's called. Dude, that guy is funny. He's just he's a lot.
He is. He's a goober. All right. What do we think of the Peacock broadcast? We'll get to that next on The Fan.
The Fan.
Yeah, it sure is. Good Tuesday. What's going on? Rain's moving in. Here come the clouds.
Yep. Turned off the sprinklers probably for good.
Isn't that fun?
Yeah, it is.
That's a good feeling.
I saw my water bill like yesterday, and I was like, God, bless
I know.
America.
Yeah. Do you guys bill up there every 3 months like it does down here?
It's like every 2, I think.
2 months?
Something like that.
Yeah, so I always, I'm so dumb that I look at my water bill.
Yeah. You think it's 1 month?
Well, I'm always fooled by that.
Yeah.
I look at the size of it and I go, what the hell?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh yeah, it's every 3 months.
Yeah. Still hurts, man.
But
like,
I'd rather pay it monthly because I just don't like.
Yeah, the big one.
I don't like that
I
big
saw
chunk.
Like it's I just the recurring payment, so I get an email, and I was yesterday or the day before I saw it, and I just was like, gosh.
Was it? So you're bi-monthly, you said? I mean every 2 months.
I think we're bi-monthly or every. It's not every month.
So it's every 2 months.
I think so.
Was it $400?
No.
Not that high.
Not that high.
Because mine's over 400.
Is it?
But that's they only bill every 3 months.
I gotta look and see when mine.
I asked the water guy. He was out one time, and I was like, "Oh no, it was P1 water guy, the guy that listens to our show."
I gotta look.
Remember when he was rooting through my?
Yeah, he was going through. It turns out the guy that was rooting around your water meter. That's
the water guy. He listens to the show, and so I asked him. I said, "Hey, how's my water?" Because the one time they came by my house, and they were like, "Hey, you're using a lot of water. What the hell's going on?
Yeah.
Do you have a leak?" I'm like, "No, I don't have a leak. I just like to water my stuff. I'm like Mr. Miyagi."
Well, that's good.
And he said, so I asked this guy. I said, "How's my water levels? Like, where am I in the range?"
Yeah.
And he said, "I'm pretty average," which I'm surprised because I feel like I use more water than I should.
Well, mine is I looked it up. It's bi-monthly, and
that means twice a month.
Yeah.
So you're saying once every 2 months?
Yeah, once every 2 months.
Yes.
And yeah, mine was mine was it was high. It was.
Well,
it
let's
was
say
high.
the number. Come on, spit it out.
I think mine was 292.
Okay.
And
so you're using less water than I am.
And I was not, but yours is every 3 months.
I know, but it's 450, 460.
Oh yeah, I was not happy about mine.
So I think I'm roughly I think it's about $150 a month.
Yeah, I definitely do a.
So you're slightly more.
Well, I will say that I don't know why I'm not this way about most things. Like I'm not a turn off the light guy. I'm not an unplug the appliance guy. I'm not the AC or whatever. But I will say with the water bill, I am conscious. Like if I feel like it's not super hot out, I will turn off the sprinklers for a day or two. I do not let them automatically run. I'm back there playing with the frequency of my water. I'm aware.
Well, that's good.
Yes,
you should be.
Yes, I'm also aware. I don't know why water consumption to me. It's the one bill that I scrutinize over. I never worry about my electric bill, whatever. But the water bill, I don't like it.
Do you do it with the toilet flushes? Do you?
Yeah, because my toilets have the 2 types of flushes.
Yeah.
You have the small flush,
right?
And also too, not to get too much information, but like if I wake up in the morning and I just have to take a wee, I'll just let that simmer because I know that I'll be back in like 25 minutes after I have some pre-workout. I'll be back upstairs taking care of some business.
What's the saying? If it's yellow, let it mellow.
If it's brown, flush it down.
Yeah. That's an old hippie saying, but
Yeah, I
save water.
I keep an eye on the water.
Yeah.
I don't leave.
We should also do this with electricity.
I don't.
I do.
I'm terrible.
My wife leaves lights on and stuff. I'll go back behind her and just turn it up because there's no reason to have that on.
I don't leave the water on when I'm washing my face. Yeah, and same thing with brushing my teeth. For whatever
reason. Do you
reason,
turn the shower on early and then dilly around before you jump in it?
No.
Because I do.
No. Because I take cold showers anyways, so I just get in and I don't take hot showers, so I just get in and go. I'll just jump right in and face the cold and get right to it. Sometimes if I'm dragging ass in the morning, I'm like an idiot. I will go stand underneath the shower and I just turn it on. There's no waiting in. It's just like, here it comes, rainhead shower, it hit me, let's go. Because it kind of wakes you up.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of people texting in their water bill amounts, and I tell you, I feel much better.
Yeah, all right.
A lot of people over $200.
Yeah. Battleground monthly, and mine was $210. Oh.
You guys like hot water bill talk? You got it.
That hurts.
You got it. You're welcome.
Yeah. It's one of those things where you become like an old man, like you could say. My old man, the great Bob Brown, no one, and I mean no one, cared more about the bills than that man right there.
Well, I'll tell you what, in today's day and age, bills get out of hand.
Yeah.
You add a $10, $15 Netflix here.
And they make mistakes.
What?
And they make mistakes, these companies.
You got to keep an eye on all this stuff.
You know how many times, if you had the fridge open for more then I'm going to say 17 seconds. You got this right here. Hey, you little S, it's the same thing that was in there the last time you looked. Why don't you shut that? Are you trying to cool the whole house? You're like, sorry, Dad. Go ahead and shut that. He was a big believer of, you figure out what you want, then you open the fridge. Big believer in that. And when you had an AC going, you better not leave that front door open. You try to open that front door, you better be shutting that real quick. You're letting all the cold air out.
I respect it.
Yeah, he was big
so
into that.
Did you guys think the Peacock broadcast sucked as bad as I did?
I don't know. I can't say, like, so many people I've heard that from, and I can't say that it bothered me one way or another.
But it wasn't great.
Yeah.
And I think one of the most important plays of the game they didn't really properly explain. That was the fumble on the half-yard line going in. We never really got an idea about what was called and what was happening, and that I think is partially on the broadcast.
They butchered that.
Well, and what pissed the one thing that pissed me off about that is we never even really saw the replay of it.
Right.
And I was livid at that.
And that's not the broadcaster's fault necessarily.
Exactly. That's what I said. I don't know if I necessarily fault the broadcast for that, but they didn't explain that until well after it was all said and done. That review was like 3 seconds long.
Because they confirmed a touchdown, but they didn't tell us
and I'm
sitting
happened. There watching that in real time, and I'm like, dude, he dropped that ball. I'm like, there's no way that thing was reviewed that fast. I'm like, he dropped that ball or was damn close to it. And then when they came back and said that there was an immediate recovery, they didn't show us the immediate recovery. But again, I don't know if I necessarily, I wasn't cursing the broadcast on that. That was just the one aspect of it that pissed me off. But I often don't get like, if the game is interesting to me, the broadcast, it's almost like the Manning cast. I usually only notice a bad broadcast if it's a game that I'm not really invested in. If it's a good game going back and forth, as the Oregon Boise State,
I could watch it on mute. I don't necessarily want to, but I could.
Yeah, and I just find it to be more background noise. Where if they're killing large segments, and I'm like, why am I watching this? This annoys me.
Yeah, I don't really care. Just get it. Just be in the ballpark. Like, that was a huge play in the game.
Yeah,
that everyone in the audience was wondering, and they had, because I think normally I'm talking about the fumble on the goal line.
Yes,
the guy dropping the ball right before the goal line.
Yeah.
You know, what happened there eventually was explained, but that wasn't explained nearly soon enough.
Yeah.
Because we're all sitting there like, dude, he dropped that ball. What the hell? What am I missing? Usually they have somebody sitting next to them that has a communication with the review booth or something where they get the actual explanation.
Yeah.
And this crew didn't. So maybe that's not the broadcaster's fault, but they just kind of hung him out to dry on that. Like, you got to get that right.
It was weird. And then was it Michael Robinson? Who was the other guy that was in there?
Yeah. Was it?
I think it was Michael Robinson. That was the old running back.
Yeah. You didn't like him?
Yeah. We can just.
We can what?
We can just.
Are you telling him to zip it?
He can go away. Like,
why?
Well,
so you didn't like the broadcast?
I used to say, like, to say that I didn't like the broadcast is it's a strong word, because, like.
Well, you're doing nothing but bitching about it.
Well, I'm not. See, he's a bitch.
Well,
I thought, I just didn't. He was one of those guys that literally just became background noise to me, and I didn't think that he was particularly good. But again, had that game been a bad game, had Oregon been blowing them out or vice versa, I think it would have got to me more, because when I was watching the game, I was just interested in the game, but I did not. I think that's the first time I had heard Michael Robinson, and I remember because they kept, was it Siciliano kept referring to him as a running back. And I even remember I Googled him because I was like, who the hell is that on the broadcast? I didn't recognize him. So then I had to go back and look up who Michael Robinson was. And he was a Penn State guy. He played for the Seahawks a bit.
He played quarterback at Penn State before transitioning to running back in the NFL, I think.
So like that was one of those that I had to kind of look him up. And then after that, I was like, yeah, whatever. And I just didn't think he brought a lot to the table. But a lot of times when you get into like the fourth or fifth best broadcast pairs, look, we're not award winners.
But it's the egregious things. Like, I don't know if it was late, so forgive me if I have this wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But right at the end, when Oregon was driving down for the last field goal, I don't think either of them understood what Oregon was doing. in terms
I
of
don't
the
remember.
you don't
With
remember
trying to
that?
like kill the clock.
Yeah,
kind
with the
of.
clock thing, they were kind of questioning like, what are they doing? Like, this is a great mistake. And
Instead
the
of
way they were using
realizing
their timeouts,
they're
they
just making sure this is
yes,
the last drive of the game.
Yes, they're just making sure that the other team does not have any.
I do remember that. It's funny because sometimes you're like, again, I wasn't thinking we were talking about this, but I do remember what you were talking about there because clearly they were going to set up to place the ball in the middle of the field.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And it was fascinating. Yes, they could not.
They got to hurry up. If they want to go, they got to go.
They didn't understand what they were doing, and that to me,
yes.
I'm sorry. If I'm a dumbass. If I understand that sitting on my couch, I expect the broadcasters to understand that.
Well, but to be again, this is I'm trying to be fair, even though I've kind of now killed the broadcast, which I said I didn't really mind because the game was good. Collinsworth didn't understand the overtime rules in the Lions Rams game. Collinsworth,
I missed that. What did he say?
Collinsworth he thought it was sudden death. Like he did not know the overtime rules. And Mike Tirico kept telling him that a field goal does not win this game.
Well, to be fair, the Niners didn't know in the last year's Super Bowl.
Yeah,
so.
Chris Collinsworth did not, and I don't know if that was a brain fart, but like he was confused. So that does happen. But I do remember of what you speak. I remember sitting there being like, dude, they're just centering the ball. Like,
yeah, they know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, they're not hurrying
not
up.
butchering
Like,
this.
Gabriel's gonna lay down in the middle of the field, and then they're gonna bring it on. Also, this. Now that you've got me thinking about the game.
You hated it.
No,
and here comes another gripe.
No. This has nothing to do with the broadcast. This has nothing to do with the broadcast, but it made me think about this. Hey, Sappington, Atticus, dude, settle down, Cochise. All right.
Why?
Oh my God. All right, dude,
you're a great kicker.
You are kicking from the middle of the field, from like the 6-inch line or whatever the hell. That thing was like the easiest field goal in the world. You're on the damn sidelines, like acting like you're about to go out and kick a 65-yard field goal.
And also, he's like flashing signs to the camera about.
He's flashing signs, and then like we're going to God. I'm like, dude, you've already missed an extra point. And by the way, had you made your extra point, you wouldn't be in this situation right now.
Yeah.
You just made the simplest field goal in the world to beat a team that you were favored by like 3 touchdowns against. Just settle down, Cookie.
My buddy's got a name for him already. Cardiaticus.
Yeah, just that. I just say like that. I didn't notice the broadcast how much whether I liked it or not, but I'll tell you what, that was annoying watching that dumbass on the sidelines warming up, pointing to the sky all the time.
Nice job, you kicker!
And then acting like he had split the atom and created the bomb, kicking the ultimate chip shot field goal to beat Boise State. Act like you've been there before.
But he hasn't, though.
Yeah.
And I think that him missing an extra point, a lot of people were pretty nervous about that.
Well.
And let the kids celebrate.
Do you know of? Were you were you watching that?
No, I didn't. That thought did not cross my mind. I was watching.
Crossed my mind.
How I feel about kickers. What I thought was I was happy for the kid because the Duck fans were going to be all over him if he missed that because he already missed the extra point.
Yeah.
And there's just a little scar tissue with missed kicks in big games at Autzen Stadium. And he came from Oregon State. That's the other thing is he's an Oregon State guy. Yeah. So that if the second he does something bad this year, they're going to be all over him. So you know what? Celebrate. He said he said after the game it was surreal to have the game-winning kick the game-winning field goal in Autzen Stadium.
Again, I understand.
Nice little kid.
It's a game-winning field goal, but there's a difference.
Nice cookie.
There's a difference between hitting a 52-yarder from the hash and literally, like, I think they were like, the 3-yard line or something, that they lay it down in the middle of the field for you, and you're like over there jazzercising for 45 minutes, getting ready to come in and kick your extra point with your little kicking shoe, and then you freak out about it, and you're like, you're Triple H-ing, like all of a sudden you're in the WWE in the Attitude Era. Again, calm down, act like you've been there before. Are you kidding me? We got a long way to go. That's my only. That's my hot.
That was hot.
The kicker thing. You know me.
Yeah,
kickers.
you hate kickers.
It's just
I'm pulling for Atticus.
I am too, but is Atticus Sappington not the kickeriest kicker name you've ever heard?
God, so much so. Atticus Sappington.
Although Texas has a kicker named Bert Auburn, which sounds like a kickery throwback.
Well, what about Dicker?
Oh yeah,
Dicker
sure,
the
Dicker the kicker.
What was his first name?
He's
Jake,
on an
right?
NFL roster.
Jake Dicker.
Jake Dicker. That's right.
Yeah. And by the way, let me state for the record, I got nothing against Atticus Sappington. It's a great name. He's a good kicker.
No, it's Cameron Dicker.
Is it Cameron?
That's right, because we're thinking Jake Dicker.
You're thinking of
Washington
Jake
State.
Dicker.
Dickert, not Dicker.
Dicker the kicker. That's a great name.
I just, in general, settle down. You got, in order to have that sort of celebration, I need that thing to be from like 40 out.
What if he misses 4 kicks this weekend, and it turns out all along he's still been on Oregon State's team?
Yeah, Vancouver 4 text line saying he's an OSU mole. You just wait and see.
Boy, I'll tell you what. The greatest thing in the world of all time would be if something like this happened, and then you line up for the kick, and my man just hosel shanks one, right? Like hits the tight end in the
that's
ass.
what he did with the extra point.
No. I mean, like you kick it right into the end guy, right in his ass, and then you turn to the camera and you lift up your jersey and you're wearing a Beaver shirt underneath. In the Civil War, right? That game comes down to a field goal. Sappington shanks it on purpose, turns to the camera.
He's got a tattoo on his chest that just says Beavs for life.
Turns to the Ducks sideline, crotch chops it, and then goes and celebrates with Oregon State.
And then he goes and jumps in the stands like the Lambo leap.
That would be the greatest moment. America, Civil War history. Double agent.
That would be something. And
Spy versus Spy long con.
You know what else I would do is crank up that rivalry.
Oh, yeah. What?
That would be a footnote on Wikipedia in the rivalry. By the way, the other thing about Peacock, I know we got to go, but the Peacock thing, since there is no channel surfing, it's only on Peacock.
Yeah.
I found myself watching the ads more, like the Gary Coleman documentary that they kept promoting, which I can't wait to watch, actually.
See, I didn't have to see any of that because mine was streamed, so it just says the game's in intermission. It'll be right back.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, mine was streamed too, but...
Yeah, mine was streamed differently.
You were in the illegal stream?
I have a box.
Oh.
Allegedly. That eliminates all that
Yeah,
crap.
they're running some Gary Coleman documentary about how he got ripped off.
Oh, yeah.
By his ex.
Well...
And his parents or something?
Oh, yeah. I think his parent. I think that's been known because he was working as a security guard for a while.
They even sort of alluded to the fact that he might have been killed. So I don't know.
What?
I gotta watch it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
he's dead, right?
Well, yeah, he died a long time ago. Oh. But any, it being only on Peacock.
Yeah,
you're just captive. Like you don't. I wasn't flipping around watching the other games.
Yeah, there's some streaming boxes that take care of that for you. It just kind of.
Well, I didn't mind it. Like I said, it's going to get me a good Gary Coleman. It's going to give me a good 2 hours tonight,
all right,
probably.
Let's go.
All right.
Focus.
Stop talking, for heaven's sakes.
Sorry.
We'll get back to the Civil War. Quietly, a new highest paid player in the NFL. Next on The Fan.
The Definitive Podcast.
Well, we're out of time. Careening toward in the news, which is very important. But
I like to careen, by the way. It's a fun feeling.
We did get a new highest paid player in the NFL quietly.
Yeah, I guess for all the stupid hubbub around it, it did kind of drop quietly.
Probably because of the Tyreek thing. They happened around the same time news-wise.
Yeah, and then the game started, and we didn't really pay much attention. But Dak Prescott is the new highest paid player.
Yep.
He's getting $60 million per year.
Dak.
$240 million.
$60 million.
That's $5 million more than Joe Burrow.
God bless America.
And Jordan Love and Trevor Lawrence.
Hey, you knew Dak wasn't going to take a discount. It's like, hey, this is the going rate. You got paid. And I know the postseason success hasn't been there. Dak's a really good quarterback. And the NFL pundits that try to, and they're not even pundits, it's just the talking head jackasses that try to tear that guy down. They, it's the old, well, what have you done in the postseason? Well, you can say that about 99% of the quarterbacks. Because last time I looked, not a lot of quarterbacks win Super Bowls. It's really hard to do. So yes, Dak now, when you get paid this, there's expectations. You got to lead a team to a Super Bowl. Otherwise, you're a bum. But Dak Prescott is a really, really good quarterback. Is he $60 million worth? No one is, except maybe Mahomes. But that's the market.
Who do you compare him to? Like who is Dak Prescott's closest comp?
In like overall, or you're going like all time?
Doesn't have to be active. Because I have a hard time. I know he's good. I like him. I think he's. But I don't really know who to compare him to. I don't know who he's like.
It's a good one. Give me a second on that. Like because I've always said with Dak, he's not a top 5 quarterback.
He certainly has top 5 quarterback numbers every year.
Yes, but I don't think he's a top 5 quarterback. I would say he's on a better team. If you're gonna go with a modern guy, I think he's got a lot of like Matthew Stafford, where I think he's really good. He put up a lot of numbers. He didn't have postseason success. Now, Stafford always got the benefit because the teams he played on just weren't very good. Like he played for the Lions, and the belief is that the Cowboys are so much better. I'd make the argument that a lot of Dak's teams are not fantastic. And it's not like Matthew Stafford never played with talented guys. Last time I checked, Calvin Johnson was pretty good. But that's the guy for me that if I had to say it's kind of a modern comp, really good numbers, 4,000 yards every year, a lot of Pro Bowls. Dak, a better regular season player because he played on better teams, but just never got viewed as, quote, the elite guy. Ends up with McVay, ends up with the Rams, gets his Super Bowl, and now we talk about McVay in a completely, we talk about Stafford in a completely different way. And if Dak ever gets a Super Bowl, we will immediately change the way we talk about Dak Prescott because the only thing he's missing is postseason success, and the only thing that Matthew Stafford was missing was postseason success.
You know they have that Hall of Fame monitor thing on Football Reference.
Yes.
So Tom Brady has the highest Hall of Fame monitor score ever of 263.
Sure.
Peyton Manning, Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre. You know all the names.
Yeah.
The average Hall of Fame quarterback is at 108.
Mm-hmm.
Dak is at 44 right now.
Okay.
And that puts him around because they rank anyone who's even non-Hall of Famers, obviously.
Yeah.
That puts him right next to Michael Vick, Brad Johnson, and Derek Carr.
Okay. Well, he's a lot better than Brad Johnson.
And Derek Carr.
Stafford's at 79, up there with Sonny Jurgensen and Kenny Stabler.
Interesting.
And it's Bob Greasy.
Well, and it's hard to go back and compare numbers because the Kenny Stabler and the Bob Greasys, they didn't throw the football. I mean, Dak's numbers are ridiculous.
But I think that the Hall of Fame monitor takes that into account.
Does it?
I think it does.
I just looked up where Dak is for career quarterback rating. You want to guess where he is in the all-time list?
I think he's probably top 5.
He is 5th.
Yeah.
5th all-time behind Mahomes, Rodgers, Russell Wilson, and Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
Deshaun freaking Watson?
Deshaun freaking Watson.
He's 4th in all-time in career quarterback rating?
That is correct.
Oh, my God.
Means it was that good when he was in Houston.
So, look, can we all say that the Dallas teams have been good? They haven't been great, right?
Yeah.
Have we ever thought that he played on a great team?
No.
No. So he has gone 13-3, 9-7, 10-6, 8-8. That was the year he got. Then after that, he gets hurt. He only plays in a handful of games. Comes back after devastating injury, 11-5, 8-4, 12-5. Like, dude, the guy wins. He absolutely wins. And you just brought up his quarterback rating. His career quarterback rating is 98.9. Like, I don't know why. And I hate that I have to defend him because I'm not a Cowboys guy. But I come on the show for years and years, and it's sometimes just beating my head against a wall that everyone loves to crap on Dak simply because the postseason he has not won. And I'm telling you, there is an ton of quarterbacks that don't win in the postseason. And there's lots of guys that we anoint without ever having won anything. We talk about Justin Herbert as if he's like this top 3 quarterback in the league. Justin Herbert's never won Jack S. He just never has. And he's had good teams around him and good talent around him.
Won a Rose Bowl.
He won a Rose Bowl. But we don't do that with Dak.
In your face.
And again, I still go back to, one, I think he gets hate because he's the Cowboys, and it's draft bias. He was not viewed as a guy coming into the league that was going to be a true difference maker, and he's built himself. So it took him a number of years for people to give him credit and be like, oh yeah, that guy's the starting quarterback. And then the moment he got there, then he didn't have the postseason success, and now we have to tear it down. Brock Purdy's got the same thing going on. When can we start talking about Brock Purdy? Because he just outplayed Aaron Rodgers. So when can we talk about it about Brock Purdy? Yeah, it's
he's bum.
Clearly. See it right here. I think that comp is a disservice to Stafford.
Well, Stafford, dude, I think Stafford's better than Dak, but watching Stafford the other night, that was awesome.
Yes.
I mean, dude.
You realize that Dak last season was top 3 in every meaningful category?
I know. I think what it is with those two would be, I think Stafford's just a little bit more playmaker dazzling than Dak. I mean, numbers can be a little misleading, and I'm not saying Dak is like a system guy or whatever. I think Dak is really good. Mm-hmm. But look, I mean, come on, dude, if you have a playoff game and you need one of those two guys, I think 100 people out of 100 are taking Stafford.
No one would have said that until the Super Bowl year.
I don't know if that's right.
So again, I know stats aren't everything, right? And I won't even give you the win totals because, Stafford played on some Lion teams that weren't fantastic, right? But again, 98 quarterback rating for a career versus 91. Dak wins that. And we'll just go off because Stafford's played a lot longer. So write this down, will you? So 17-game average. Matthew Stafford has averaged, 91 quarterback rating. He's averaged 29 touchdowns, 15 interceptions, 63% completion percentage. Okay? That is his. Dak, over a 17-game average, 98.9 quarterback rating, 67% completion percentage, 30 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions.
Yeah, better numbers.
But
again, I'm taking Stafford.
And I'm not arguing with you, but this is the point that drives me crazy. For someone, and people say this, to say it's insulting to Matthew Stafford. No, what it's insulting is that Dak Prescott has been better than him throughout his entire career in every meaningful category, except for postseason success, which, by the way, Matthew Stafford has had one year when he got with McVay that he's really, that he made his name for himself. No offense, but Dak hasn't played with Sean McVay. He's played with the clowns that he's got coaching that team. See Mike McCarthy. And yet we refuse to even say that Dak is on the same level as Matthew Stafford. I don't know what he has to do other than win a Super Bowl to get people. I mean,
that's one thing.
Well, but those numbers, he is better in every category.
You know how many QBs in the league right now have won a Super Bowl?
Like what, 4?
3.
3.
It's Mahomes, Stafford, and Aaron Rodgers. That's it.
So I love this. List. Dak, he's got to get over the hump in the playoffs. So does Josh Allen, right? So does Trevor Lawrence. So does Justin Herbert. So does Joe Burrow. So does Lamar Jackson.
Yep.
Yeah, but too, that the Cowboy quarterback gets a lot more scrutiny than the average quarterback.
Yeah.
And Romo had that.
It's like being shortstop for the Yankees. Instead of somebody else.
Yep. And by the way, now, you want to talk about pressure now. The guy's making $60 million a year.
Yeah.
Pressure's going up.
Yeah, it is.
All right, in the news is coming up next. We have trouble at Mountain View High School.
My school?
That's your high school.
It is.
We have trouble.
Oh, boy.
That's next. Here's Buck.
Now, Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Brought to you by PG Long. Carpet, hardwood, or laminate flooring, cleaning, or restoration. Call PG Long, your Northwest flooring experts. PGLongLLC.com. First on the Fan in the NFL today, questions remain about the 49ers reporting of Christian McCaffrey's calf injury prior to their Monday night win over the Jets. McCaffrey's status remains uncertain for the Niners' Week 2 matchup against the Minnesota Vikings. Backup Jordan Mason expected to see an increased workload even in the event that McCaffrey returns to the starting lineup. Meanwhile, in Pittsburgh, Russell Wilson continues to deal with his own calf injury. It's likely to keep him out again in Week 2 against the Denver Broncos and his old head coach, Sean Payton. Pittsburgh is prepping Justin Fields to make the start. On the diamond, the Mariners entered Tuesday 4.5 games back in the AL West behind the Astros. The M's host the Padres tonight at T-Mobile. Yu Darvish is on the mound for San Diego while George Kirby starts for Seattle. The Astros, meanwhile, host the Athletics tonight. First pitch from Houston at 5:10. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Ryan Buckley at the 1080 The Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Tired of getting dinged by subscriptions? We won't send you a bill. Portland's sports leader, 1080 The Fan.
Is it time to beef up your teeth? Dr. Lampy here for Teeth in 24. Patients tell me every day that they want to eat steak again. For 20 years, my implants have given patients back their smile and confidence to tear into a T-bone. If you can't eat them when I meet you, I guarantee
back to sports coming up.
True story.
Right now it is September 10, 2024. It's time for In the News. I am your noted newsman. Hello, thank you. Oh, by the way, Buckley, you left off 2 quarterbacks on your list of quarterbacks with Super Bowl rings.
Yeah, I meant to say starting quarterbacks, because you're right. There are 5.
There are 5.
3.
Not 3. Russell Wilson.
Not a starter.
And Joe Flacco.
Also not a starter, but both
still in the league.
Very much quarterbacks.
I looked it up. So the Stafford, obviously, they won 4 games and won the Super Bowl. But other than that, he's 0-5 in the postseason. It's obviously a great Super Bowl run, and Dak needs that. But it's funny how one postseason run changes the narrative 100% on it.
In the News, brought to you by the Advocates Injury Attorneys at advocateslaw.com. It is National Hot Dog Day. I don't know why we love the hot dog so much, because it sucks.
I never seek out a hot dog, but when I have one, they're fine. You know, outside of a game, people do those big bratwursts, going on, throw some grilled onions on that thing.
Well, I think brat's different, though.
Yeah.
Brat's not a...
I consider a hot dog a brat and Italian sausage.
I don't. I think those are different things.
Lips and a-holes.
We also have TV dinner day today.
Go home and get yourself some Salisbury steak.
You remember the old TV dinners?
Yeah, that's the saddest meal known to man, by the way.
Yeah, it's pretty rough.
Whenever I think of just like a lonely dude, I just picture yourself like a crappy beer and that Salisbury steak and,
Rainier.
Yeah.
Or a PBR.
And you just...
And you sit with your little TV tray.
TV tray, probably
watching Wheel of Fortune.
Like in your underwear or something. The Slammer still has the TV dinners. That's there. You can go to the Slammer and the Slammer Tavern and get yourself a TV dinner. And that weird little... You still have that weird little tinfoil tray?
I don't know.
I think they've upgraded now to like the plastic.
Oh. That's great for the environment.
What does a TV dinner run you nowadays?
Dude, you're asking the wrong guy.
What is it? What's the Hungry Man, right?
That was one of them.
Looks like a Hungry Man dinner will run you anywhere between $4 and $5.
Hey, you know what?
Whoa.
Hungry Man combos at Fred Meyer for $4.
Look at that.
Why are we not talking about TV dinners as cheap alternatives to crappy ass
Salisbury
fast food?
steaks, $4.39 to $4.79, depending where you shop.
Why are we not talking about
this? You're
this?
a single guy. You can't afford a quality meal. Go get yourself some Salisbury steak.
Schultze's always bitching at us about the McDonald's prices.
Yeah,
Go get one of those.
You get 2 Salisbury steaks. You get cream corn or mashed potatoes and some green beans. And then don't forget, you get that brownie dessert that either is going to be, what normally happens is the mashed potatoes are 9,000 degrees and that brownie, that thing's like a rock. It's like a hockey puck.
Boy, they're offering something now called Hungry Man combos where you get 2 entrees and sides in there. You get a meatloaf and mashed potatoes and barbecue chicken and some taters.
Well, why? Wait, why?
I don't know.
Well, you need a little
You
extra.
need 2 meals?
You want a double dinner.
Hey, when you're a hungry man, when you were at work, I remember those commercials. There was like a guy coming home after like a shift, like being a man's man, and he was double hungry. He had some work boots on and a hard hat. He needed himself a double hungry man.
Not salty at all.
No. Not at all. Yeah, right here, yeah. Fried chicken and the Salisbury steak.
You can get the orange chicken and the teriyaki chicken combo as well.
That's great.
Dude, I am not trusting that at all.
Come on, you're having a combo for dinner.
I just think of Better Off Dead, where for Christmas he gets all of the... all he gets for Christmas is a stack of Hungry Man dinners. It's got cream corn. You like corn.
2 teens are in custody after police responded to reports of a threat made to Mountain View High School.
Oh, crap.
One noted Mountain View High School alum, Jason Sakanik, with commentary.
And neighbor. I walk by that high school every day. I usually roam the high school with my dog.
They found the pair armed outside of the school.
Holy crap.
Oh,
that's right.
So it almost went down.
Really?
A student first reported a social media message with a threat to shoot outside Mountain View High School in an attempt to possibly confront a specific student around noon.
So it wasn't a mass shooting. It was
No, it looks like they were looking for somebody.
A score.
Both teens were booked into Clark County Jail, face charges of first-degree attempted assault, unlawful possession of a firearm, possession of a firearm on school property, and felony threat.
Whew.
Neither is a student.
That is scary stuff right there.
Neither's a student, but it was related to a student?
Yep.
Wow. So we're thinking like.
Well, they could be a student somewhere, but they said neither is a student
At that school.
in the Evergreen School District.
Okay.
That's scary stuff. That's a rough go there.
The 31 cases of measles recorded this year in Oregon are the most cases in a generation, according to state health officials.
Well,
there have not been this many confirmed cases in the state since 1991.
That's because a lot of people now are morons. So,
yeah, thanks, Obama.
Yeah. I love the people. Like, we don't need no polio vaccines. We don't need any measles. My kid's gonna be fine. Cool.
Well, I think a lot of those people. I may be wrong here, but aren't a lot of those people from other countries and have different, I don't know, religious affiliations about that?
I think there's plenty of nut jobs here, but yeah, I think some of the, I definitely think some of it comes from overseas. But
and they throw their kids in schools.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah, that says that of the 31 cases, only one was in Multnomah County.
Yeah, there was I saw a thing the other day where they were saying that the exceptions for by state, the exceptions for vaccines, and we're pretty high up here in the upper left.
We're pretty high up for what?
The exceptions, like parents.
People are
opt
out.
People are opting out and seeking exemptions
Really?
from the. Yeah, we're pretty high.
I wonder why.
I don't know.
I wouldn't think that.
I just think we're pretty. Maybe the hippie dippies.
Oh, the super hips.
Yeah, the super hips. Because it's
super
not,
libs.
Yeah, it's not necessarily the right wing people. I mean, they got their own thing, but that was more of the COVID stuff. But I think it's the anti-measles and all that stuff, the MMR stuff. I think that's more along the lines of the super left.
Mm. Well, the majority are kids under the age of 10.
Yeah.
There were 7 adults also infected.
Yeah. There was a horrible breakout in it was like American Samoa a couple years ago that Kennedy was involved with, and a bunch of kids died.
Hey, where are all the lesbians?
Right, my neighbors.
I mean, all of them.
Well, I don't know about
I'm gay,
all.
I'm gay, I'm gay.
Well, they're all here in Portland, right?
Well, I guess we're going to find out, aren't we? Next, I've got some new numbers. This is in the news on The Fan.
This is The Fan's Window into Sports, a view into today's top stories, brought to you by Window Nation, online at windownation.com.
Fits my belly now. I've lost a little bit of weight, but my tits are still struggling.
You can say that? Jason Kelsey did.
We had to believe it.
Well, we did, but did they say that he?
No, it went on the
It
air.
went on the air, so I don't know if they didn't catch it or if it was just because it's cable. It's okay.
Wow.
I don't know.
Well, he forgot his clothing, like his clothing bag, so he had to go to the mall.
All right, welcome back. This is In the News, September 10, 2024. Noted newsman here, news contributor Jason Skanik right over there. Hey, before we get to lesbian talk, we do have a couple of listeners who are advocates of the TV dinner.
Really? We're pro?
Well, you knew that would happen.
Yeah, that's true. It's like Schulte loves McDonald's, right? Like, there's always one out there.
So we got one guy who loves the chicken parm.
Little
Hungry
chicken
man.
parm?
Yeah. Says it's actually really good. I can't imagine it is, but he says it is.
It's really good?
And then we've got somebody on the YouTube stream who likes the Devour.
So they're great lunches.
Yeah. The Devour ones.
Well, I'll tell you what. Like, I shudder to think of what goes into stuff like that. Like, if you want to know why we have the health problems that we do versus some other countries like Japan, see that we're sucking down Hungry Man and we're like, oh yeah, it's nutritious. I don't think so.
Well, we are Lesbianville.
Well, I would think so. I mean, you know.
Would you?
Yeah, I would assume that like California, Oregon. Yeah, I think the West Coast lesbian
cities.
Yeah, I think we're. I wouldn't say Eastern Oregon, but Portland, absolutely.
According to a new study, Multnomah County is home to the highest concentration of lesbian couples of any large or medium-sized U.S. county.
There you go. We always ask what we're the best at. we're
being gay.
Being gay.
I'm gay.
Now,
I'm gay.
Are we the best at being gay, or are we just the best at being lesbian?
But he's gay.
That's a good question. I don't know. I don't know where we're at on the gay scene.
Yeah. I mean, look, I hang out at the Eagle from time to time, but I don't know where we're ranking nationally. I eat ass. Whoa! Come on!
That was not me. That was Buckley.
Boy.
I will
That
separate
is-
myself from that.
Jeez Louise.
Right in the butt.
Come on.
That was me.
Clean it up over there. It was timely. For
It-
heaven's sakes.
It was pretty solid. Not gonna lie.
I'm uncomfortable now. You want to ride this jock? Let's go.
So many lesbian couples have settled here that the 2020 census found nearly as many, roughly 4,700, live in Multnomah County as in all of Manhattan.
How about that?
Which, yeah, they have a lot of people over there in Manhattan.
Yes, they do. There is way more people in Manhattan than there are probably in the entire state of Oregon.
Yeah, there's one city out east. Now, that was county, but by town or city, there's one city that is dubbed Lesbianville, USA by the National Enquirer. This was way back in the 90s, but it's a town called Northampton, Massachusetts. And they say it is the best city in America for lesies. The Northampton area has always been a great place to live in because gays and lesbians can get legally married there. It tops the list.
Yeah, but now that
it is a small town.
You can get that anywhere.
Yeah.
We have the sports bra.
We do.
What does that place have, the sports bra?
Not many places have the sports bra.
Exactly. We got it.
We have the best walking city, the best bicycling city.
We have a card store at the airport. Huh? We have a lesbian card store handmade at the airport.
We have laws that protect LGBT workers. So
yeah, we're getting it done. And by the way, like 1.8 million people in Manhattan, just in Manhattan alone.
Yeah.
And yet we're cleaning their clock.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Well,
it's
actually,
really, it's really not crazy, you know.
Go lesbians.
Yeah, we got a whole just in Portland alone, dude. We got. I just looked up lesbian businesses, dude. We got so many.
Yeah.
Honeybees, Common Grounds Coffee, Cookie McCake Face, Sissy Bar Portland. Got all kinds of stuff.
Cookie McCake Face?
Yeah, Cookie McCake Face. Sunny's House of Tattoos and Treasures.
Great.
There's the sports bra. We're dominating.
That's great.
Yeah.
That is in the news, September 10, 2024. As always, brought to you by The Advocates, injury attorneys at advocateslaw.com. The Hot 5 at 5 is coming up next. We've got some cool hot sports news, and then we're going to talk some Civil War.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's about time.
It's Civil War week. Yeah.
So that's good. What do you mean?
So weird. It just...
Beaver fans are fired up.
Well, yeah.
I mean, I think.
Go Beavers, how about
I think they're fired up as they can be. This
It's
thing
sold out.
It lacks some juice. Well, for God's sakes, I hope so.
Why would you say that?
Well,
There's a lot of people that don't care. I had a buddy over, he's a big Beaver fan. He was over at the house the other day. He's like, dude, I can't even watch college football. I don't care.
If you can't fill that place up for the Civil War, what are we even doing? What are the troops even fighting for?
Hot 5 at 5 next on The Fan.
For many of us, guys, it's happening.
Welcome back. Hope you're having a nice little Tuesday.
Except for the guy that we pissed off that loves TV dinners.
Can I read that, or is that... Can you say that word?
I feel like it's uncouth today, but I don't think it's. Well, I don't think it's a slur.
But I just want to.
I don't know if it's what you should.
Yeah.
Look,
okay.
I've always said if you have to ask, chances are you probably shouldn't. Look,
That's
we
a
just
good
piss
point.
someone off.
Well, yeah, he's not happy about the TV dinner talk.
Yeah.
You always get that. It doesn't matter what you're talking about. Someone will be offended and come at you. But I just wanted to read that specific text because he used a word in there that says everything you need to know about him.
Sure.
Right? Like you don't even know that you're telling us who you are.
But you're telling us
But you're telling us who you are with the use of one word,
Well,
and it's capitalized.
Yeah, there might be a second word at the very end as well that kind of gives away
he said,
the age range.
Yeah, he said doofus.
He called us doofuses.
But here's the thing, and like,
which I'm not offended, but
I bring up the same thing. Like,
there is another word in there that would offend some.
Yeah, there. Remember a while back when we were at the fan golf tournament, and Joe Fish became enraged that Isaac Ropp was not interested in a random Home Depot bucket of used golf balls that a guy brought. Right? It was just a collection of like shag balls.
It was a nice thought, but I didn't really. I mean, I have a bunch of those.
And Fisher was livid. He just was like, "Were you guys too good for these guys?" He was upset. And it's the same thing with this guy in the TV dinner. When you become upset because someone says something about something you like, when you become that upset about it, it's because deep down you know that what it is you're into is embarrassing. You know it's embarrassing to like TV dinners.
The fact it requires you defending it.
That's why you get bristly.
That's why you get bristly.
Otherwise, you wouldn't mind.
Exactly. Like if I told you that my favorite food was Chinese food and you're like, Chinese food sucks, I wouldn't be like, you jackass, Chinese food is delightful. You know, or if I said I like Shrixon balls and you're like, Pro V1s. And then like I got all huffy about it. If you have to defend something that hard as random as used golf balls or TV dinners, deep down in your core, you know that those balls and that dinner, let's call it what it is, it's a little trashy. Doesn't mean it's not good for you. Doesn't mean that you can't enjoy it, but you deep down are insecure about the trash factor of your golf balls and your dinner choices. And that's just own it. If you like going to the Golden Corral, don't try to tell people that that's like fine dining. Just be like, I like being trashy and going to the Golden Corral. Own it.
We are your sports bros, Ropp and Sook. What's going on? Having a good little Tuesday. The rain's moving in. Forgot to mention that on In the News. It's supposed to rain tonight.
Yeah. Is it? But it's not supposed to like stay, right? And it's supposed to clear up by the weekend?
Oh, yeah. I think tomorrow's wet, but then clears out by Thursday.
Yeah. Yeah, we're good. We're good.
Which is perfect.
Yeah.
Quite frankly.
Yeah, I don't think the weather, like, I think we get to mid-October before I really start to be like, hell, it's here. I did turn off the sprinklers, though, today permanently. We're done. And that's the nice part about going into fall.
So we've got a little hot college football talk here as we will get into the 128th playing of the Civil War. And yes, I am calling it the Civil War.
I think we kind of all are again.
I think we're back.
Yeah, they can't just...
No.
You can't get rid of the Civil War term and not replace it with something and expect us not to go back to Civil War.
For a couple years we tried, though. We tried to not say it, and now we're back to like, well, you didn't give us anything else, so here we are.
I mean, you've failed.
Yeah. So we're back to the Civil War. No
So
offense
we'll
to
get into
Dennis
that.
Dixon, who I think was kind of spearheaded that, but, you know, hey.
Well, I think it was like the presidents, wasn't it? It was Ed Ray and...
I thought Dennis Dixon spearheaded
No, there were former players.
Well, maybe, but I think eventually the two presidents, Ed Ray, and then I don't remember who was at Oregon, maybe Schill at the time. Was that his name, Schill?
Michael Schill, yeah.
I think they got together and put out a statement saying that they needed to bag the term.
We're getting together right now, and we're back.
We're bringing it back.
Bringing it back. It's the Civil War.
You can't cancel that.
No. You can't cancel TV dinners. And you sure as hell can't cancel the Civil War.
So we're gonna get into it. We're gonna talk about the game. Is Colorado as bad as Texas is good? Some more college football talk and a big win shout out that we didn't get to yesterday from college football over the weekend. Tonight in the club, Dave Grohl has stepped in it. I don't know if you've seen the latest with Dave Grohl.
Oh yeah,
he had to issue a statement.
Believe me, the BTJ is already messaging me about it.
Yeah,
well, we've got to. This will be a whole thing because me and her have we've got a. I have a working theory about celebrities, and each time it happens, she gets a little more angry at me. So,
okay,
we can talk about it in the club. But yes, I woke up to that news, and it was a little sad.
Yeah, nothing's wrong with Dave Grohl.
No, he's not dying,
but he has done something bad.
As someone on Twitter pointed out, he's got another confession to make.
I know. He released a statement on Instagram, and they're like, "You missed a real opportunity there." Starting with, although when you're apologizing for something where you've screwed up your life, you can't really make light of it.
Yeah.
No.
I do respect how he's going about this, though.
Yeah,
just tossing it out.
What are you gonna do, man?
On the IG.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll get to that Club 1080, but right now the Hot 5 at 5.
Hot topics, hot opinions.
Oh, golly, I'm hot today.
And hot air. It's time for the Hot 5 at 5.
That's hot.
The Hot 5 at 5 on Primetime with Isaac and Sue.
No, I mean it. That's very hot.
The Hot 5 at 5 with Isaac and Sue. Brought to you on The Fan by Victor Rico's Mexican Food, the most popular burrito spot in Oregon. Online at victorricos.com. Number 5.
Well, your Mets now lead the Braves by a game.
Yes.
For the third wildcard spot in the NL.
How about that? Dude, at the start of the season, when we were 40 games in, I would have laughed at you if you would have told me that the Mets were going to recover. I mean, I thought they were going to be traders at the deadline. They were talking about getting rid of Alonso and Lindor. And
look, if they're not there yet, they're losing to the Blue Jays tonight, 2-1, and the Braves are winning 8-0 in Washington over the Nationals. So it could be tied at the end of the evening.
It's just fun. I mean, you're a Royals guy too. It's just fun to be in the mix, right?
Yes, it's fun to be in the
Still
mix.
giving Grimace the credit for that?
Oh, 100%.
Nice.
This was all started by Grimace, a.k.a. Brett Bielema, who is reaching Grimace proportions.
My Royals lead the Yankees 2-0 in the fourth. Baltimore leading in Boston 3-0. You know, the O's are now a game and a half back of the Yankees in the AL East. They're sliding a little bit. They've lost 3 in a row.
But they're comfortable in the wild card.
Your Mariners take on the Padres tonight. And then the Astros are just getting underway against the stupid A's.
Breaking news I just saw like 3 minutes ago. Luis Castillo to the 15-day DL. He's got a hamstring, and they're saying there is no timetable for his return. So, not what you want coming down the stretch here. 9-game homestand, by the way, coming up for the Ends.
Mariners are 4.5 back of the Astros in the AOS. Tyreek Hill's agent, Drew Rosenhaus, calls for the Miami officers involved in his traffic stop to be fired. He says there's no place for that.
Yeah, they're not going to get fired.
All the while, the officer placed on administrative leave has lawyered up, and his guy is demanding for him to be reinstated immediately.
No one's going to get fired in this, but someone needs to sit down with those officers and tell them that no good was going to come of this. Absolutely none. Other than a bunch of jackasses on Twitter being, super cops. So it's just there's a way to handle it. And Tyreek Hill was not an angel in all of this, far from it. But my God, all of that for a traffic stop.
In a power ranking of douchebags,
yes,
the overzealous, high T, angry cop guy
takes it.
He's got to be top 3, doesn't he?
It's up
He's
there.
just obnoxious.
Yes.
And there's no reason for it.
No, and there's a bunch
other than his angry, sad little life.
There's a bunch of idiots now trying to compare Tyreek Hill to what he did to Henry Ruggs and saying that he was going 60 in a 45.
Okay, everybody settle down.
Exactly.
No.
Just stop.
The NBA has expanded the scope of coaching challenges on out-of-bounds plays. If a foul should have been called on a play, it can now be called shortly after the fact. You know, this became a thing in the play-on. It was the Mavericks, Kyrie Irving. I don't remember the series, but this was a thing in the playoffs.
Was that against the T-Wolves?
Yes.
Remembering that right?
It was the T-Wolves, where they went back and looked at it, and there was clearly a foul causing the ball to go out of bounds or whatever, and then they can't call the foul. So now they're just changing that.
Because they're like, it was off of that guy, but only because this
because
person
he was
pushed him.
fouled.
Yeah.
So now they can actually call the foul and allow the coaches to challenge that.
Yeah, I mean,
So that's,
sometimes I think the NBA stuff is a little clunky, but again, I'm a big believer of get it right.
Yeah, one more thing to slow the game down.
Right.
Number two.
The NCAA facing another lawsuit. This one along with the Big Ten Network. There are 4 former Michigan players, including Braylon Edwards and Denard Robinson, who have filed a $50 million lawsuit against the NCAA and the Big Ten Network. It's a class action suit. It claims they were wrongfully and unlawfully denied the opportunity to earn money off of their name, image, and likeness. The lawsuit claims the NCAA and, more specifically, the Big Ten Network systematically exploited iconic moments created by these players.
Yeah, $50 million seems a bit much, but until there is a settlement, I don't know if you've paid any attention. The House settlement, by the way, that looks like that thing is blowing up in their face. That thing may just go back to court, and the NCAA may be on the hook for a couple $2 billion. But there's one in Colorado. Unless there's some sort of settlement that there's precedent set and this is all covered, the NCAA is going to keep getting hammered with these. And I don't know if they'll get $50 million, but they will keep losing in court. There has to be some sort of federal protection. Otherwise, the whole thing just crumbles.
Number one.
Number 1.
And number 1, we are monitoring some stories out of the NFL. One being that the NFL is reviewing the most recent Deshaun Watson lawsuit under terms of the personal conduct policy.
No truth, or maybe there is, to the Cleveland Browns setting this whole thing up to try to get out of his contract.
They're saying there's no chance he's placed on the exempt list because there are no charges or anything. It's a civil complaint.
And it's from 4 years ago, and they're saying this isn't going to be an extension of the last one.
They already suspended him once, but they can suspend him again.
Yes.
Steelers are saying that the status of Russell Wilson is up in the air. They are preparing Justin Fields to start this week against your Denver Broncos.
Yes, get ready for more field goals. Look, I'm sorry, but the way Bo Nix looked against the Seattle Seahawks, he may die against T.J. Watt and the rest of that Steelers front. I mean, it's a rookie, and you can get a lot better, but that was about as bad as it gets. Not named Bryce Young.
What else do I have for you? Nah, I think that's it.
Well, they got a couple. You see Adrian Peterson having to give up property?
Yeah.
I guess he owes someone $12 million.
Well, he just failed to pay.
Yeah.
And so it just, and
interest
then you have
is coming for him.
Interest, and you have attorney fees, and it's just.
It's not good.
Yeah, whatever. He's a bonehead.
Yes, and it sounds like he's out of money.
The Hot 5 at 5 is brought to you by Victor Rico's Mexican Food, the most popular burrito spot in Oregon. Order now. Now!
Right now.
At victorricos.com. The Civil War will be played for the 128th time. Let's talk about it. Coming up next on The Fan.
Yeah.
The home of Dirt and Spray.
I'm Dirt. Joining us now is our good friend, Bill Connolly, ESPN college football writer, who has been the most impressive
Text to the Vancouver Port text line. Civil War is like Kleenex and rollerblades. We don't call them tissues and inline skates. The name is too good to be technically accurate. I was looking up why they changed the name, and I have a couple of quotes here.
Yeah.
Because I
remember that.
Yeah, I just kind of forgot, what they were citing and, who's behind it. It was Ed Ray, and it was Schill, the presidents of the universities. Ed Ray said, changing this name is overdue as it represents a connection to a war fought to perpetuate slavery. While not intended as a reference to the actual Civil War, OSU sports competition should not provide any misconstrued reference to this divisive episode in American history.
Oh, my God. Take the cob out.
Oregon also said, this is Rob Mullins, actually, and he said, we must all recognize the power of words and the symbolism associated with the Civil War. This mutual decision is in the best interest of both schools.
Can I just say one thing about that whole statement from both? Really? Like anyone, is there someone alive from Gettysburg that's like, I'm offended? God bless America, we're sensitive. Get over it.
I just think the academics oftentimes think that we think things like them and we don't.
Yeah.
Like I've never once thought about the Civil War and what it meant and attached it to Oregon and Oregon State.
Ever.
Not one time.
No.
And look, I get it. I'm a basic bitch. I'm a plebe.
I thought it was a pun with the name civil. Like, we're in the same state. They're doing battle on the football field. A civil war. Haha. Like, it's not a...
Right.
Yeah.
Like, we just don't... I mean, I think academic types like Ed Ray sit there and think about things like this. We don't.
No.
Most people don't.
No.
So it doesn't make any sense to do this. And they did not give us a replacement name.
No.
Therefore,
we're back.
We are back.
Yeah.
Damn it. We're calling it the Civil War.
We're back to the Civil War.
Okay.
Sorry there, Ed.
And it's the 128th
You okay?
version?
Iteration?
It's just the
contest?
Game?
The game?
128th game?
Let's go with that.
Game in the series?
Let's go.
Wikendpedia is now calling it the Oregon State rivalry.
Really?
Which cannot stand.
No, it's the
and it
Civil
used
War.
to be called the Oregon Classic back in the early 1900s.
I don't mind the Oregon Classic, but it's
that
the Civil
sounds like
War.
a golf tournament.
Exactly. It's back to the Civil War. Sorry, it's the Civil War. Deal with it.
Beavers, I think they're feeling pretty good this week. I mean, if you had taken their pulse 3 weeks ago, they'd have been like, oh, God.
And I thought so, too. I mean, I said going into the season that I was hoping for good things for Oregon State, but my fear was Idaho State, whatever. The San Diego State game, to me, was the big one for the Beavs. Because it was like, dude, if you go down and you lose that one, and then the Civil War comes to town, and at the time, there was a belief that Oregon was going to stomp the you-know-what out of you. And then it's like, oh, my God, if you lose to San Diego State, you get killed there. Where does the rest of the season go? Where does the interest go with the fans? But you've looked pretty good so far in the two games. The first half against Idaho State was a little, but, you ran the ball down their throat. Shut out San Diego State. Again, not the prettiest game in the world, but you ran away with that. Scored 2 late there, 21-0. So you're feeling pretty good. The defenses looked great. And I think more so for Oregon State fan, it's not necessarily about how you've looked, because you've looked fine. But I think it's about Oregon. So I think if you're the Beavs and you're like, hey, Idaho went toe-to-toe with them. Boise State probably should have beat them minus some special teams touchdowns. We got these guys 2 years ago. They're at our place. Both of those games that were by whiskers were in Autzen. This one's at our place. We're going to have a hair on fire. We're as motivated as we can be. I think if you're an Oregon State fan right now, that's why you're feeling great. Not necessarily because of you. It's because of how ordinary Oregon has looked. Because I think most Beaver fans that I talk to are like, damn it. Because hey, Oregon's the third, team in the country, and they've got this talent NFL teams all around, and it didn't go well for you last year. And so I just think there was the fear that this steamroller was coming through town. And I'll tell you what, that doesn't look like a steamroller anymore. It looks like a Kia.
Yeah, I mean, I guess my thing with that is like there's a reason why we thought they'd be a steamroller, and while they haven't been, that doesn't mean they won't be.
No.
I mean, I just feel like...
But you can only go on what we've seen.
You can, or you can just say Oregon State may not have enough offense. Like you look at, okay, so the point spread.
Yeah.
Point spread in the game, it opened at 20.5.
Mm-hmm.
Oregon minus 20.5, almost 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
It is now 16.
Yep.
Because of what's happened. to me, that's value for Oregon, because I think if I've seen enough of Oregon State's defense, I don't know how much they score on the Ducks.
Yeah.
And, that's basically 2 touchdowns and a field goal.
Yeah.
And Oregon's got an explosive offense when they've got guys that are tough to match up with.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going to happen. I do think it's more intriguing now because of how Oregon has played.
Mm-hmm.
But, the Beavs, and again, some of it is just who they've played, but they're number 1 in time of possession.
Yeah.
If they can hold the ball for 69% of the game, which is what they've been doing, that bodes well.
Well, I mean, the MO is going to have to be, because, McCoy didn't do much in that first game. I think he threw the ball like 10 times. The second half was just, run the ball, 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 run the ball. Against San Diego State, they opened up a little bit more. Like I said, they only scored 7 points through the 3 quarters. But their defense was great. San Diego State is obviously not very good. I think they won like 4 games last year. Trent Walker on the outside, I think has been their big target. I just don't, as well as Oregon secondary is playing, I'm not certain that Oregon State can throw the ball and get behind Oregon. So again, it's like what you said. If Oregon State wants to win this game, they need to win this game 21-17.
Yep.
They just need to be able to ram it down Oregon's throat. And the question becomes with Oregon, as good as your corners have looked in that back half of the secondary, I wonder if Oregon just doesn't play up on people and stack the box and be like, dude, throw on us. Like, go ahead. Throw on us and see what happens, but you are not going to control the game against us. So it'll be interesting to see how aggressive Oregon is on that side, or if Oregon's willing to get into that game and see if they can stop them with just running kind of 7-man boxes. But that has to be the game plan for Oregon State. Also, if I'm Oregon State, I'm taking a trick out of Idaho's book, and I'm throwing everything. Trick plays, double reverses, fake punts. Empty the bag. What have you got to lose? Just throw. You are playing with house money at this point. Oregon hasn't looked great. They're on the road for the first time. That place is going to be bananas. I say, man, just if you're Trent Bray, empty out every little thing that you've ever thought of in your mind. Empty that thing out and throw it at Oregon and see if you can drag them into deep water.
Well, Reeser is sold out. They announced that today.
Which is that's another weird thing. Like, they announced it today, and I've seen everyone flexing on that. Dude, it's the Civil War, and you have it's a 35,000 seat stadium. Like, why? Like, it's sold out. That is such a weird flex.
Is it coming from a place where they're like, see, we still care kind of a deal?
So.
Like, is that why the flex? Like, do you have to prove?
It's weird.
I don't know.
It is weird. But when I've watched Oregon State, that front, with Gray and Stack, I mean, they're running the ball well, and they got a couple big time backs, Hankerson and Jam Griffin, and then was the freshman is Allah. Saw him running a little bit against San Diego State. If I'm the Beavs, I'm cautiously optimistic that I can move the ball a little bit. The way Boise State ran against them, and remember, I get that none of these backs are Genty, but Boise State was playing with 2 backup offensive linemen. And while it wasn't like the most dominant run game in the world, dude, they moved the ball on Oregon, including broke the big one. So, if you're Oregon State, you say, hey, our O-line is, our backs may not be as good as Boise's, but our O-line is better than Boise's, and maybe we can get some push, which is, again, goes back to, I'll be interested to see how aggressive stacking the box Oregon is early on to try to not let Oregon State kind of build up some momentum.
Well,
there.
look, it'd be a hell of a statement if they win it. The country will take notice.
Oh, it'd be huge.
It would be huge. I mean, Oregon's still top 10, even though they haven't played the way they've wanted to.
Yeah.
And then if you look at their schedule, the Beavers, after this game, I mean, if they win this, they're 3-0.
Hell yeah, dude.
And then they get home games against Purdue, Colorado State, and then they play Nevada and UNLV.
Dude, I'll tell you what. You beat this Oregon game.
Are they 7-0?
You beat this thing, and you've set yourself up here if you're Oregon State. It's a
Talking
long way to go,
now.
but...
Well,
look,
yeah.
I mean, I don't.
If they beat Oregon, listen, I know that it sounds silly, but I don't understand why you wouldn't say, if you look at their schedule, I don't understand why you wouldn't say Oregon State couldn't get into that playoff if they
win this week.
If they win this week, they have to win this week, because the second Notre Dame loses, we're all like, oh, there's no way they're going to the playoff. Yeah. Well, I mean, we speculate all the time. We don't know if that's true or not, but I don't know if you can say it for the team that just lost to Northern Illinois. Why can't you say it for the team that just rose up and beat number 9 and is 3-0?
Yeah.
I also saw Brett McMurphy had NIU after their win over Notre Dame as the 12-spot Group of 5 team getting in.
Yeah, because remember, Oregon State unfortunately cannot get in as the Group of 5. Oregon State would have to be an at-large team, so you need an ton of help. And
well, like I said, if they beat Oregon, their schedule, dude, it's not that hard. It's just not. I think Oregon's going to bludgeon them.
Yeah.
But I don't know anything. Like, I thought Notre Dame would probably beat NIU by 30. Well, they didn't.
UNLV's good. Cal just beat Auburn. Washington State and Boise State are both. Look, I mean, I'm not bursting anyone. Like, in order for Oregon State to make it as an at-large team, you'd have to be undefeated. They're not going undefeated. So that's, I mean, it's not happening. So.
Well, look at you, bursting bubbles.
Well, look, teams don't go undefeated unless you're named Georgia. And even then, like, you're not going undefeated. You're just not. So, but I will say that this game has taken on a way, it's just way more intriguing than I would have thought. And I think largely it's a nice combination of Oregon State has been solid. They haven't been great. And that's, have you seen Oregon State play yet? Have you watched any of that?
I watched a little bit of it. Yeah.
They're not great. They're just not. They're fine.
I feel like they're
they're
I
solid.
feel like they're really well coached or pretty well coached, you know?
Solid.
Like they've been kind of the same for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
And they're tough. Yeah. And I think they are well coached. They just don't, I don't know. Oregon, I am not panicking the way other Oregon fans are. I just think Oregon has some studs, particularly against a team that can't really score a ton in Oregon State. I don't see it. But again, Oregon State's beaten Oregon. Again, I just go back to Northern Illinois, Notre Dame.
Yeah.
That's all you need to know.
The difference in that game, and look, I'm the first one to say that I think Oregon has looked like mess. They're not a top 10 team, and nothing with Oregon State's going to change that. You're going to have to go a long way to prove to me that you're a top 10 team. Oregon just doesn't look that way. But Notre Dame has huge fatal flaws. I don't think Oregon has huge fatal flaws. I just don't. I just think you haven't played very well. But Notre Dame doesn't have an offense. Notre Dame doesn't have a quarterback.
Well, that's what I was saying earlier. It's like the anatomy of an upset, or like this idea that Notre Dame is going to the playoff is kind of silly when you look at their offense.
Yes.
The idea that Oregon can't get this together is kind of silly when you look at all the studs that they have that have helped them win, pull out 2 games when they haven't played their best. You know, like you're saying, there's a difference between watching Notre Dame and going, ooh, the future's bright. No, they can't move the ball. Their offense just sucks.
Yeah.
They're going to have to win games grinding them out. Whereas Oregon has shown on both sides of the ball, they have shown explosiveness. They have shown studs all over the place that can make big plays for you, even on special teams. Yeah. They just have to cut out the penalties. They have to get better offensive line play. Yep. They have to cut out the turnovers, the stupid mistake. I mean, it's so the anatomy of an upset. Yes, this one doesn't scream that like maybe Northern Illinois, Notre Dame, but at the same time, Oregon State should be a lot better than Northern Illinois.
Yes, absolutely.
And we've seen, and if Oregon plays the same way it has the last 2 weeks,
Oregon State's going to be in this game.
The Beavers are going to definitely be in this
100%.
Because Idaho was and Boise State was. So why wouldn't Oregon State be?
And I just wonder if either one of those games was away from Autzen, is that different? Because this is going to be in Reser, and it's going to be a loud environment. Look, I give Oregon State, and it's such a weird, stupid qualifier. This is about Oregon. It just is. If Oregon shows up and plays, and this is no shot at the Beavers, dude, they'll roll them over. They just will. When Oregon shows up and plays and cleans up mistakes, this game will not be competitive. If the Oregon team that we've seen the first 2 weeks, if that is the team that shows up down in Reser, this will be an absolute dogfight till the very end. Because the Beavs ain't quitting. And that's a tough, proud, physical football team that can play some defense.
We've just seen stranger things.
We have.
I mean, college football.
Well, all you need to know is
continues to surprise us.
2 years ago, they came back from an 18-point deficit and didn't throw a pass.
Dan Lanning said he thinks about it all the time.
Yeah. Well, and Betcher was saying that they watch that film like nonstop. It's up in the facility. It's up when they're working out. I mean, they're well aware. It's one of the more embarrassing collapses that we've seen from a big time program in years. I mean, it's almost unfathomable. And then, last year was, it was close for a little bit, and then they put their foot on the gas and in a way that you go. Ultimately, I wonder, and you brought it up, I don't know if Oregon State's offense has enough lead in the pencil to keep them in this game. You're not going to be able to hold this down to a 1 or 2 score, affair. You're going to have to play better offensively than you have. And you're not just going to sit there with that front that Oregon has. You're not going to be able to do what you did in the second half against Idaho State and just maul them at 6 yards a carry. That's not going to happen. So Oregon State has to, the defense just keep playing the way it is. And then offensively, you got to find something. You got to find something through the air. And that's why I said, to me, empty out the tickle trunk. Find some plays, kind of like what Oregon did in the special teams game. In order to win this game, Oregon State is going to have some special teams magic or, a trick play. They're just going to have something out of the ordinary. I don't think they can just line up and go toe-to-toe for 4 quarters.
There's hot Civil War talk, and yes, it is the Civil War. More on that tomorrow. We will also have Dan Lanning on our show every Thursday at 4, and Joey Harrington on Friday, 5:30. Coming up next, is Colorado as bad as Texas is good? Here's Buck.
I ran through that bull junkie road.
Now, from the fan.
Bottom line, they're ass.
Bottom line, they are ass. Colorado taking it on the chin again over the weekend against Nebraska. Dion now, boy, I tell you, these things keep coming out. It's almost like a daily occurrence where there's a Colorado headline that is not good.
Yeah. I ran through that bull junkie road.
And, you know, some of it is piling on. Some of it you don't know. I mean, like the latest was supposedly they were instructed to not play the Colorado fight song, but Shedeur Sanders rap song after they score, which, you know.
He said, Dion came out and said that's not true.
Exactly, but he wouldn't say that if it was true.
That's
so,
true.
I mean, who knows? It's just, you know, Jackass is leaving the field early, 2 minutes early, which just makes you look like an absolute bitch. You know, they were getting their ass kicked by Nebraska, and 2 minutes before the game was over, Shedeur Sanders just walked off the field. He wasn't hurt. That whiny bitch. And even afterwards, Raiola even goes, hey, you know, he mentioned it. He goes, hey, I was trying to go over and find some guys. And he goes, unfortunately, some guys, you know, took off. Like I get it. Like, you know, it's an emotional thing. But it just, Shedeur Sanders, who's a really good player and is going to be an NFL quarterback, stuff like this, it's a poor look. And again, you just wonder when I watch that program now, how much is Deion Sanders trying to win and how much of it is he just trying to get Travis Hunter and his kid to the NFL?
Yep.
You know, and it doesn't look like he's building a program.
It just seems really obvious that, I mean, and that's the narrative now. I mean, everybody sees this.
Yeah.
Especially with the Shedeur thing with the band. So he came out and he said, nobody ever asked the band to refrain from playing the fight song. After a touchdown, the band plays Glory, Glory, Colorado, and after a point after touchdown, the band plays Fight CU, as has been standard practice. When Shedeur scores, the band will wait a moment for a small snippet of Shedeur's song to play before immediately kicking into Glory, Glory, Colorado. Yeah. This is exactly what happened during the game against North Dakota State. But the reality is that everything points to an implosion.
Yes.
And everything points to him only being there to get Shedeur a bunch of money in the NFL.
Yeah.
And that's really it.
Yeah.
Because Shedeur, even after the game, Shedeur was throwing guys under the bus right and left.
Like, someone brought up Dominic Raiola, who's the freshman, who's a really talented kid and is not competing with Shedeur Sanders for the NFL. Shedeur will be gone after this year. Raiola has to stay for 2 more years. He's a true freshman, right?
I have that Shedeur sound if you want, by the way.
Yeah, I want to hear
So
that.
someone asked him about Raiola, and this is how he responded.
Well, this one is about his lack of protection.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times did Raiola get touched?
So what?
How many times did Raiola get touched? There was able, like, of course, whenever you're able to run the ball consistently, and whenever you're able to, then that opens up the pass, you know. But it's just like you gotta understand like what your team good at. So it's like, why would we keep running the ball if we out there and we get in a situation where it's a must get and we don't get it?
Are those kind of like 4th and 1 conversions that haven't gone your guys' way in the last couple? Is that kind of play into everybody's mind? Is that kind of something on your mind when thinking about advancing the ball and whatnot?
Nah, I'd rather if we're gonna go down, I'd rather go down swinging, honestly, because I know I could throw the best punch.
Yeah, Raiola is the opposing quarterback.
Yeah, you know, you're
so he's just being a little
exactly. It's like if I'm an old lineman, and this is what I used to say. Like, as much as I love Mike Leach, but I mean, at least it's a coach. If I'm an old lineman, and I'm sitting in there, and look, their O-line is ass. It wasn't good last year. It's not good this year.
Well, yet another thing that points to Dion, he's not really serious about winning.
No, he doesn't recruit. He's not going out and you know, it's this transfer. Everything is a temporary bandage. He's not actually trying to build a culture there and actually bring guys in that are going to be there for several years. Everything is a quick fix because he knows he's there for 2 years. But look, if I'm an old lineman and I listen to my quarterback who's making millions of dollars and clearly doesn't give a rip about anyone else, and after the game, you know, he's down there talking about, you know, why should we run the ball when we can't do it, and how many times did he get touched, and I got to listen to Coach Prime constantly bitch about how his son's under duress, and you know, and his message to the team was, well, I'm bringing my own luggage and Louis, and there's nothing, and I mean nothing about that says team culture, building, all of that stuff. None of it. Everything is temporary, Band-Aid, lipstick on a pig. It's the people that buy a crappy rundown house and then put some new siding on it and paint it, and they're like, it's been flipped, it's been remodeled. That house is not meant to go the distance, and this will be a spectacular flame out because that's not. Colorado's a bad football team. They just are. It's a bad football team.
Yeah, they're bad. Are they as bad as Texas is good? because Texas looked awful
Texas
good,
looks
dude.
really good.
Is Quinn Ewers? Is he the number 1 pick?
I don't know. I think he might get picked apart a little bit. I'm not certain that he is viewed in that light. I mean, we'll see how this season goes. There's always risers and fallers. I know going into the season, everything I saw on him, even after a very nice last year, he was not viewed as the same sort of prospect that we've seen from some of the top quarterbacks over the last couple of years. So when you look at quarterbacks, I still think, like most people think, that it's going to be Carson Beck. Will be the number 1 guy.
Is Shador up there though?
Yeah, Shador's up there. And look, I'm going to be fair to Shador here. Because he's an NFL guy, he just is. And if he were playing on a better team, we would talk about his NFL prospects a lot differently. Because he wouldn't have to do the things that he does. He would have a run game. He would be able to play action pass. He wouldn't have to make every jackass, run around and take 20-yard sacks. So believe it or not, like Shador would be much better served from an NFL standpoint if he played in the confines of a better system. But it's going to be some combination of Beck, Quinn Ewers, Shador, Cam Ward, Jackson Dart. I think that's your kind of your group and where they go throughout the season. I mean, if Quinn Ewers has a monster year, I still think it's going to be Carson Beck. But if Ewers has a monster year, he'll be the second guy. But I'd be very surprised if Shador doesn't end up being a top 15 pick. I mean, quarterbacks just get overvalued.
Well, I just watched Ewers against Michigan, and he was great last year in the playoff and everything. Yeah. He's awesome.
Yes. And
Quinn Ewers is so good.
And he's cleaned up a lot of the stuff that early on people didn't like about him. And this is where I think Shador would really benefit. Quinn Ewers has cleaned up kind of the jackass label. He was, everything from the mullet to the kind of it's one thing if you want to go out and be Baker Mayfield, you better win a Heisman Trophy, but like he just seems more professional. He's cut down on a lot of the silly kind of backyard plays, and he's playing more in the structure of the offense. And I could 100% see Texas just boat racing their way through here, and Ewers ended up winning a Heisman and solidifying himself as in a real competition between him and Beck for the and maybe they just go 1-2 in the NFL draft.
Well, he's a stud, and I don't know if Texas is as good as Georgia or Ohio State, at least that we think they're as good, but they looked the part against Michigan.
Yeah, they did.
I think I'm right about this. When I checked into that game, I watched it, and it was clear that Michigan wasn't going to move the ball at all.
Nope.
I went back in the third quarter. I think Michigan only had 11 yards in the third quarter.
That wouldn't shock me.
I mean, Texas is legit, dude.
Yeah. Well, and people are saying now that the way Michigan was the year before, the last year, their championship team, right? So remember the year before, Michigan got to the playoff and bowed out against TCU,
yeah, that's right.
And everyone,
Texas is that new team.
Yep, and that Michigan brought everyone back, and it was like, hey, dude, we are on a mission. This is stacked. This is our best team. Texas last year, right? They beat Alabama. Hey, Sark's back. Texas is back. All this. They get to the playoff, and they come up short against Washington. And even though they didn't, Murphy and a lot of those guys ended up leaving, a lot of talent came back. And they're saving, even with the receivers and their D-line going to the NFL and losing a lot, they're saying this Texas team is as talented as any team since those Vince Young's teams. We got Quinn Ewers back. He came back, didn't go to the NFL, and they're saying that this is that team. And I can see it. And Texas has more tests because there was a belief that Michigan wasn't that strong. So maybe that win ends up in the long run not looking as dominant. But going on the road to the defending champs and stomping them like they did, that was impressive. And now if you're Texas, you get Texas San Antonio, whatever, Louisiana Monroe, whatever, Mississippi State, whatever, and then Oklahoma, which, it's rivalry game, but then the big one, market October 19th in Texas, in Austin, Georgia comes rolling to town. Circle that.
Yeah,
that's big boy right there.
Well, and right off the rivalry game too. And
Yep.
I know Oklahoma didn't look good last week, but that's always a
and it's
huge
always
game.
competitive.
That's a tough back-to-back. But Texas, they're going to have – I think that's an interesting comparison to Michigan in the year before where they lost and then they come back all motivated and everybody's back. That's interesting. Hadn't thought about that, but I mean, they have to play an SEC schedule now.
Yep.
This ain't the Big 12.
Nope.
So they're certainly going to prove it. Although you mentioned their schedule,
it's not tough.
After Oklahoma and Georgia, it really isn't.
Nope.
I mean, they've got
Vandy, Florida, Arkansas, Kentucky, A&M.
2 road games at Arkansas and at Texas A&M that could be trouble. But
look, I would assume at this point Texas is dancing because even if you stub your toe against Georgia,
they should be.
They should be. Texas is legit. I do not think that Texas is going to get exposed.
I think preseason, I think I kind of did a meh on them because of Sark. I don't know that I fully trust Sark when push comes to shove.
Yep.
But maybe he'll prove us wrong.
Well, when you look at the college football teams early on that look the part, there's not many, right? I mean, there's some teams that have kind of been early on. I mean, it's been kind of unsteady. And the 2 teams at the top, Georgia and Texas, even Ohio State at that first half of their game, I forget who they were playing, Tallahassee JUCO, looked a little spotty. Alabama had their struggles early on in some of those games. Georgia and Texas, from day one, have been like, look out. So, and I just think it's kind of fun that we get that game in Texas coming up here in a number of weeks.
A big win shout out coming up next to wrap up the hour on The Fan.
It's time. The Fan.
Yeah, we got one more left over from the weekend of college football here before we get into the club, and it is a big win shout-out. Didn't go unnoticed. You mentioned it earlier today, but I think nationally it was kind of a whatever. But Justin Wilcox and Cal won at Auburn.
Hells yeah.
In your face, Hugh Freeze.
The ACC.
So the Bears, Cal Bears, with a chance to be 4-0 before they lace them up against number 10 Miami in a few weeks.
I love it because, one, I love the Wilcox family, and I want nothing but success for him down there. And, he was under some heat, down there at Cal, and he doesn't have a lot of resources. And, God, you're playing an AC schedule out of Berkeley, and I love it that they found a way to do that. And it would be great if they gave Miami a big old S-burger. That'd be fantastic.
So their next two, they play San Diego State, who we just saw against Oregon State. They should win that. That's a home game. That's this weekend on ESPN. And then they play at Florida State, which is really interesting because the Noles, they're struggling.
Looked good.
And then it's Miami.
The weird thing, too, it's like the same reason I thought it was interesting that Genty didn't go anywhere at Boise State. Jay Knott is one of the best backs in the country, and he's stuck around at Cal. That's a big time player that probably had a lot of offers to go places. So I always like it when guys stick around lesser programs and we're like, no, these are my guys, and we're gonna stick this out.
Well, I'm rooting for Hugh Freeze to flame out at Auburn. I think that would be great.
Well, he's just
The fans sent the quarterback there at Auburn, Peyton Thorne, Venmo requests for money that they lost on the game.
They want their money back.
And he said that, shockingly, fans never share their winnings when Auburn covers.
Well, can I say this? Like, I understand that the whole gambling thing and like fantasy football, I get that sucks for players to hear it from people like on social media, but hey, lighten up. All right. No one's actually expecting you to send money.
It's also generating massive revenue for your sport.
Exactly. So just shut up.
I actually think some people are wanting money.
Yeah, well, it's not going to happen. So I just Chip Kelly did that once. Remember, Chip Kelly wrote a guy a check for the Boise State game.
Yeah, the Garrett Blunt punch game.
Yeah, Kelly did. He wrote him a check.
Shut up.
He wrote him a check for his ticket cost.
You guys shut up.
Yeah, he did, right? Didn't
The person itemized their entire cost of the trip, the cost of getting to Boise, the seats, the gas, like all of that, and Chip was like, "You're right," and just like send him a check for the expenses.
Is that an underrated bit that we don't talk about enough?
It's underrated.
That's fantastic.
It's a power move on the part of Kelly.
It was a good way to win people over early after disastrous start.
Yes, that was well played. But just sometimes when fans, or not fans, but when players start bitching about fans, and this is why you can always tell when a program is sinking and a coach is going to get fired, because they start chirping at fans, whether it's Billy Napier or whether it's Mike Norvell or Shadur Sanders or whoever. Yeah, Prime.
Is Prime doing that?
Yeah, they always they take stupid, idiotic fan things that no one takes seriously, and they start taking them seriously, and they start taking them personal. And Dabo did this with his caller into his program, and you just see it, and it's like you're digging yourself. You're it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You're digging your own grave by acknowledging these jackwagons that all they want is for you to acknowledge them and let you get under their skin.
I wanted to see if Dan Lanning said anything about the Boo Birds.
Yeah, I haven't heard
anything. And he was not asked about it.
Yeah.
But the first thing that he said when he sat down at his Monday press conference yesterday was, and I think he usually says this, but he said, "Hey, just want to thank the fans for coming out. They were great the other night against Boise State."
Yeah.
He didn't say anything about the boos or anything.
Yes. It serves no purpose for anyone, for Dan Lanning or anyone else, to come out and be like, you know what, it's really unprofessional of our fans. And it's just,
we're trying real hard. You shouldn't be disrespecting us.
It's just it's a classless movie. You think that helps? Like, nothing. It serves no purpose. So stop doing it. But the Billy Napiers of the world can't help themselves. Billy Napier gets embarrassed on national TV. He takes it right in the shorts. And in his press conference, he's like, "Yeah, someone in a basement in Florida. Maybe if you'd stop criticizing us, we can focus." Do you know what a bitch that makes you sound like? Where you're like, yeah, that's the reason why you're losing, is your team is facing negative comments from someone in a basement in Florida, which, by the way, people don't really have basements in Florida. That whiny bitch.
I have a follow-up on the Chip Kelly check story, which I didn't know.
Yeah.
So that was, for some reason in my head, I had it as $100.
Yeah.
It was $439.
Okay.
and Chip sent him the check. It was signed by him, but the guy was so impressed that he wrote Chip Kelly back a thank you note and he did not cash the check.
That's right. Yeah, did not cash it.
Yeah,
I forgot
and
that
I
little
think I
wrinkle.
would have had a real hard time cashing that check myself.
I would have just framed it and put it on the wall.
Yeah,
that's a
Especially
fun.
now, you can just scan it. You can keep the physical check.
Oh, that's
and
true.
And still get the money.
That's true. It's a fun little. It's a fun little. What would you say? Like a memento, right?
Yeah. Look at Chip.
Eventually, do you get like after like a year, you're like, hey man, I really need. Like you think about going on a Vegas trip to your buddy, you're like, man, if I cash that check.
Very famously, Ricky Henderson did not cash his first big check from the A's after he signed a new deal, and it messed with their accounting books for years. And it took them like years later to like reconcile what the problem was.
Wasn't
And
it
they're
like $1 million?
And they're, I think it was. And they're like, Ricky, you have to cash this check. It's messing our books up.
Like we'll write you another one. Like we'll write you a fake one. You know, you scan it or something.
The text comes in and says, "Who do I write to get the 4 hours of my life back from listening to this show every day?"
It's free, you whiny, you know what?
Yeah, you didn't pay $439 for it. If you did, we might write you that check.
I think you should write Sook. He's probably more inclined to cut you a check.
What would be the value of you? I don't know. You want like
4 hours of your life?
I don't know, you want like $11?
Well, doesn't everybody have kind of an hourly wage? I mean, you and I have an hourly rate.
Yeah, I suppose.
Says it right on our checks.
Yeah, I'm not paying that hourly wage. I'll tell you what. If you find me at a bar, which isn't hard to do, I'll buy you a beer. Like if I was sitting at a bar and someone came up and was like, "Hey, like I listened to that bull crap that you guys were spewing the other day," and if I really thought I was like, "Yeah, that wasn't the best show," I'd buy you a beer. I'd be like,
you guys
know
talked
what?
about bumper stickers for 20 minutes. Give me a beer.
Yeah.
Do you know what I've
and
overheard?
there are definitely shows where I'm like, yeah, you know, it wasn't
We
our
didn't really
best.
do anything
If
today.
you reference that, you referenced a specific show or a segment where I was like, yeah, we mailed that one in, I would buy that person a beer.
Well, it's oftentimes subjective, so that's tough.
That's true.
Because what I think you may think sucks, I may think is like, that was great.
It's amazing.
I don't think I ever told you. Maybe I did. It was so long ago, but this was many years ago. Remember the old McAdams bar down by our...
It's a bunch of like apartments now, but yeah, McAdams was a decent place. It was the TGI McScratchy's sort of bar and grill.
Yeah, it was down by our old studio. I was sitting in there one day, and I think I was with my wife, but I can't remember. I might have been at lunch with somebody from work, and I overheard the booth next to us talking about our show.
Mm-hmm.
And they loved you, but hated me. They were like, I don't
That's
even know why.
great.
They were like, I don't even know why he's on there. Like, Suit's fine, but Jesus, does that guy know anything?
You're right there.
And I was hearing all of it, just laughing. And I bought him a pitcher of beer.
Nice.
I didn't want to talk to him
Yeah.
because I didn't want to embarrass anybody.
Sure.
I just bought him a pitcher of beer and left. And I said, make sure
They know.
that that is from Isaac.
That's fantastic. I've never heard that. And that is and that's why you're not a jackass. That's the anti Deion Sanders move.
Yeah, Deion would be like, well, what's the problem? I'm doing my best out here. We're just trying to win radio shows.
What? Yeah, I should have started a fight. I should have peacocked his ass. Started a fight right there.
And what do you do?
Yeah. What do you do, mortgage guy?
Oh gosh, I do love it when someone is all blustery and angry, and then like you just meet them with some love and humility, and then they're like,
oh,
like sorry man, I was just having
all right, guys. Dave Grohl has stepped in it.
Damn it,
your hero, Dave Grohl.
I don't like it.
That's next on the Fan.
Aloha, it's Marcus.
But don't really answer that. I don't want you to answer that.
No.
Because we all know why you're not watching it.
Exactly. So, yeah, we used to do that back in the day. Now I think we know why. Oh, by the way, I was going to bring this up because tonight I've got a sign-off in my neighborhood right now, and it's kind of exciting.
Trump versus Harris?
Yeah, Trump versus Harris. So it's maybe like 4 blocks from me, but it's on my regular walk. And it's always been a Trump house. Super Trump guy. But he's always just had he always has the Make America Great sign up, right? That one's been up forever. And across the street from him, like literally right across the street, recently I noticed that there was a couple Biden-Harris signs that went up in the lawn. And I was walking by the other day and I noticed that not only now do we have the Make America Great one, we now have the Trump Vance. And we have China. We have another one. I forget what this one is, but we have another one. So we had 3 Trumps. And then like a couple days later, as I walk back, and now the Biden-Harris home now has 4 up in their yard.
I'm really rich.
And then Trump guy has now added a flag and a sign.
Space Force.
Went back today. We're up to 5 Biden-Harris signs across. Trump guy has now gone to 5 and 2 flags.
Yeah, flags!
And it's been freaking awesome to see. It's been great to see.
Yeah.
There's no way that this isn't a direct response
to each other.
Yeah. I can't believe that as we've gotten closer, they've just randomly decided to put more signs up.
Yeah, flags!
And I'll give Trump guy this. In the battle, I think he's winning. One, he's got more because he's got the flags. I think the signs, I think they're tied, but he's got multiple flags now. And the Biden-Harris house, all the signs are kind of clumped together, like in one section of the lawn. Not Trump guy. Trump has them spread out over the entire front of his house and the basketball hoop as well. He's got the big one right up in front, and now...
He's a baller.
Now, well, actually he has 3 flags, but one of them is an American flag. But so, yeah, he's rocking 3 flags... and the 5 signs in response to the 5 Biden-Harris signs. I kind of wanted to take photos of it, but taking photos of Trump houses kind of makes me nervous.
I don't really get the sign thing. Like, what is the idea that,
someone will drive by and be like, you know what? I like the look of that house.
I've
changed my mind.
That's right. I don't know. Why do we need to know who you're voting for? Like, what? I guess maybe the idea is just that the more signs you put out for your candidate,
the more perceived support there is for him.
Yeah, exactly. You can sway people to think.
The other thing that I'm so sick of hearing is when people talk about the undecided voter. There are no undecided voters.
Hallelujah.
That's not true.
Dude,
I mean, like,
hallelujah. There is not one person.
The
who
question
has not
is, who
decided
can
on
get
this
more
election.
people from their party to come out and vote?
Yes.
They say it's like 15% of the country
No,
that's
it
like,
isn't.
I don't know which side I like
know.
better.
Yeah.
I need to see more
All I
from
know
Trump.
is, hey, I'm walking every day. I walk by this house every day, and I'll tell you what, I'm open to be swayed by the signs and the flags. It's now.
You're open for business?
I'm just telling if you're listening right now, Biden-Harris, or I guess it's now the Harris-Vance, right? It's
Harris-Walls.
Oh,
Harris-Walls.
Harris-Walls.
Vance is with Trump.
Yeah, Vance is with Trump. It's on you now to up your game. What are you going to do? They've matched your 5 signs, and now they're bringing 3 flags, and you don't have a flag?
Yeah, flags!
Hello? What are we doing here? Let's step up our game. Otherwise, hey.
How old is Trump now?
78, I think.
Is he?
Yeah. He'll be as old, I think, at the end of, if he got elected at the end of his term, I think he would be Biden's age.
Yeah, he'll be 79 in June.
Yeah.
All right, I've got Dave Grohl news. Dave Grohl, I get here you're trying to...
trying to delay it.
You're trying to deflect from Dave Grohl talk. He has stepped in it. Dave Grohl has done something very bad.
It's not good.
And we will discuss it next on The Fan.
Oregon Ducks football is on The Fan.
Gabriel.
to have a faithful marriage. It just does. And I say it all the time. Like, if your job was to be around the most attractive and influential and interesting and famous, like handsome men, and you were away from me for months at a time, you don't think there's a possibility that, oops, something might happen? You know, it's one thing for like the high school principal, you know, to be like, I've never cheated on my wife. Ron White does a great bit on that with Tiger Woods. It's like, you know, Tiger Woods cheated 17 times, but he had an opportunity to cheat like 100,000 times. Like, whereas like if you're like a high school principal, you probably never have a chance to cheat. Like, so it's not conducive to that lifestyle. But there's always a handful of people that people want to hold on to. They're like, yes, they can do it. And Dave Grohl was one of those guys.
Yeah.
Because if I told you that one of the most famous rock stars of the last 50 years had a child out of wedlock, like if I told you this was Mick Jagger, or when Adam Levine did it, you're like, yeah, that's. But when it's Dave Grohl, you're like, no, Dave was the one. Dave was our last chance because
he just seems so normal.
Yes.
And they've been married a long time.
Yes.
And they had, you know, the 3 daughters together. And
but
we're very disappointed in Dave. We hold Dave to a higher standard.
I know.
Because he's Dave.
Yeah, he's Dave.
He's sort of a victim of his own expectation there.
You're a victim of being the nicest and the coolest dude in rock and roll. And turns out that even the nicest, coolest guy in rock and roll, you know what he likes? He likes the Hoors.
Tang. He likes the Tang.
That going back, there was another great one, Daniel Tosh, who I don't ever know what happened to Tosh. I don't think he's around anymore.
He's hosting a podcast now.
Is he doing a podcast?
This came up with my brother over the weekend randomly. Apparently, yeah, he doesn't have a TV show anymore. I think he occasionally still does stand up, but he's got a podcast that's pretty successful.
He has one of the great lines where he was talking about.
I find him very funny.
I love Daniel Tosh.
He's funny.
He was great, and I'm sad
he
that
still is. He's not dead.
I just never see him. He's got a great one in there where he's talking to his girlfriend. His girlfriend's like, "You're gonna choose some skank over me," and he goes, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! It's not you versus some skank. It's you versus every skank." He's like, "You're like a mighty Spartan warrior, but there's thousands of Persian wars, and eventually you get overwhelmed." And like, you're Dave Grohl, you're on a world tour, and you know. See, here's the thing too. Like, everyone's going to assume this is like some sort of like 22-year-old model. I'll bet you this is more like a 42-year-old like seamstress that was working on the.
I bet it's a 22-year-old model.
That was working at the Foo Fighters tour. That one night, Dave was like, "Yeah, I don't know."
Yeah, I'm with Buck.
You think you're going 22-year-old model?
I don't know about
Look
model.
at like the Schwarzenegger thing.
But some hot at his show.
Oh, so you think it's someone like in the family circle or in the business circle or something?
Yeah, it's like it'll be someone that worked on the tour. Like, it'll be the drummer of some opening band,
a PR person,
and then someone will look at her and be like, "Oh my God, that's who you cheated with," and it's just gonna be one of those things of convenience, a la Schwarzenegger and the Maid.
Don't get me wrong, I like the tatted up whore too.
The mistress is not always the 10. It's kind of the 4 that just happens to be around on a weird, lonely night on tour. Either way, let me just state for the record.
Are you making excuses for your boy?
Yes, I am, because there goes my hero. Dave Grohl, the coolest man in rock and roll.
I see what you did there.
Well, James Hetfield, who's my other rock god, he recently just got divorced after like 30-plus years of marriage.
Isn't he an ass, though?
No, Hetfield's great. And now Dave's getting divorced. I'm running out of heroes, damn it. And now I got to hear, I guarantee I get home tonight and the BTJ is like, "You men." Well, there's a lot of dudes today that are going to be catching strays because Dave can't keep it in his pants.
Yeah, I think that's right.
And what I got to tell her is, honey, I'm no Dave Grohl, so.
You don't have to worry.
There's not a lot of hot models like looking to get with the AM radio sports talk host. I don't think that's like, are you knee deep in Skush Rop? Are they coming out of the closet for Asachi?
Wouldn't you like to know?
Isachi.
What my life's like.
I've joked to Coop.
I'm going to Bimart tonight with the father-in-law again.
Oh, dude,
I'm guessing they'll be lined up.
That's where the ladies are at. I think that's what you do. You head to a Bimart on a Tuesday night.
I tell you what.
I really enjoy the show. Thank you. Bye.
So my father-in-law lives with us now.
Yeah.
And I took him. He loves Bimart, so I took him to Bimart.
By the way, that's my favorite part about that.
For the ice cream or for what?
No, he loves everything there. Like
loves the Bimart.
It's just great deals.
Do they have a food market or anything?
Yeah, they get food there. He got his 2-for-1. Was it Oh no, I said, what are we going to Weimar for? He's like, well, the Triscuits are usually $7.50. They're on sale for 2 for $5.
You got to get there now.
I'm like, well, we can't not go.
No. Is it the flavored Triscuits? Because the rosemary ones?
He didn't like the flavored ones. He likes the regular ones.
The plain?
But anyway,
Of course he does.
When we went in there, and we filled up, believe me, we filled up that cart. We were there for 2 hours. I was like, oh man, I bit off way more than I can chew here. But you just keep finding deals. Yeah. It's unbelievable. But when we walked in, because it's a Weimar, which I didn't know, is apparently like you have to have
a club.
A club.
Yeah, it's like Costco. You got to be a member.
You can't just walk in.
No,
there.
it's not for everyone. You can't just stroll in off the street to a Weimar.
So we go in this door, and I'm like, well, this isn't the right door because it's not the big open welcome everyone door.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, you have to go through this little secure area here.
Yeah.
Well, the lady behind the counter, you think the hots are lining up for me? She loved him.
Really?
She was like, oh, military man, huh? She was like hitting on him. Yeah, because he had his veteran hat on.
How about? Well, I bet you when you're an old vet, that's where you head to pick it up. You go to the Weimar.
Dude, she wanted a piece of what he had going on.
All right.
Scooting there with his walker.
Dude, isn't that great? I wonder if that's like the pickup scene for the olds. Hey, what are you gonna do? I'm gonna put on my Vietnam hat and head to the Weimar, go cruise for some skush.
I also had to text Barrett because his damn voice came over the loudspeaker while we're in there. I'm like, my God,
he's the voice of Weimar.
You're everywhere. Why are you talking to me at Weimar like the voice of God? Get out of my ear.
I love that he's haunting you at Weimar.
The Vancouver Ford text line confirming Tosh has a podcast said that on the first episode he interviews his wife's gynecologist.
Oh. All right. Well, I need to check that out because I always enjoyed.
Dear.
I always enjoyed Daniel Tosh. I guess everyone has a podcast now, but he was such a good stand-up
Boy, you
guy.
ain't kidding. Everyone has a podcast.
Yes.
3.2 million of them.
Everyone.
Including this stupid show.
That's right. We're one of 3.2 million.
All right. Well, screw you, Dave. Piece of crap.
Yeah. Thanks, Dave. It's gonna be an awkward moment at my house when I get home tonight.
Boy's ass.
We got to talk about the story we didn't get to last night. When the doctor takes out the wrong organ. Next, here's Buck.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk.
hockey game and they do the pipe organ? I think Chicago actually still has a pipe organ. Dun, 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 dun. It's fantastic.
No, I'm talking about bodily organs.
Well, I think some people play that organ. It gets lonely
Ew.
sometimes. You know.
Yeah, somebody mentioned the Hawk Tua girl. She now has a podcast.
Oh my
See,
God.
everyone
Does she
has.
really?
Yes,
That's what everyone's been asking for.
Spit on that name.
everyone has podcasts.
Boy, if you've ever listened to her talk, like in an interview, I can't imagine what that podcast is about. But
So there's a lawsuit in Florida. Beverly Bryan is suing because her husband went in for surgery.
yeah,
They are from Alabama. They are from a place called Muscle Shoals, Alabama.
oh,
And when they were out in, they were out. They have a rental property in Okaloosa County, Florida.
mm-hmm.
And when they were out there visiting their rental property, Bill, Bev's husband, Bill Bryan,
Bev,
suddenly got a little pain
all right.
down his left side. Now, Bill, I'm looking at a picture of him. Rest in peace, Bill.
Oh, it cost Bill his life. Huh?
He died, yeah.
I don't like to see that.
But he is one that you should probably be on heart attack watch for, if you know what I'm saying.
Oh, okay. You maybe have a little touch of the diabetes?
Well, if you've all seen these guys that are... I just don't know how their stomachs don't pop.
Yeah, I know.
They're so tight.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
You know?
Yep.
He's
Yep.
like one of those.
Yeah, we know.
So they go to Sacred Heart, and there is a doctor there. So they're there in Florida. They feel like it's an emergency. They go to this doctor named Sheknovsky because they feel like this may be a heart attack or something. Well, Dr. Sheknovsky says he needs urgent surgery. So he proceeds with a procedure. During the operation, Dr. Shevnovsky removes Bill Bryan's liver, and in doing so, transected the major vasculature supplying the liver, causing immediate and catastrophic blood loss resulting in death.
That's not good.
So he dies right on the table.
Not good.
He killed the guy.
Yeah.
He basically killed the guy. It was supposed to be the spleen.
Oh, which is a much less significant organ, correct?
And he took out
the liver.
The liver.
How do you confuse those two?
Well, yeah.
I'm not a doctor, but they seem quite different.
And they're not even in the same area. So the surgeon proceeded with labeling the removed liver specimen as a spleen. And it wasn't until following the death that it was identified that the organ removed was actually his liver.
Oh my gosh.
The surgeon told Mrs. Bryan, Bev, after the procedure that the spleen was so diseased that it was 4 times bigger than usual and had migrated to the other side of his body.
Okay, so
the family later was informed that Bill's spleen was still in his body and appeared with a small cyst on its surface.
Run that by me again. So the spleen had the spleen had gotten so big that it went to the other side.
Well, that's what the surgeon said. That was not the case. They're saying that his spleen was still in there and it had a little cyst on it, but that was it.
So he thought that the big inflamed liver was. Oh my God.
Yes, and he explained to her that the spleen was still in his. The spleen was so diseased that it was 4 times bigger than usual and had migrated to the other side of his body, which is why he thought it was
the liver.
Well, that's why he thought it was the spleen. His liver was his
that's
spleen.
why. Yeah, that's what I was. Yeah, we're on the same page there. Oh my God.
Yes.
That
terrible.
is
that is terrible.
That is unbelievable.
How about that way to die?
How much money? How much money is that going to net you,
dude?
Because I got to believe that that's
all the money in the world.
Yeah.
What does wrongful death run these days? I mean, that's
all the monies.
Yeah, that's boy. I don't even. I'm kind of shocked. Just absolutely shocked that you can be that incompetent as a surgeon. I need to hear, like, where's Kevin the surgeon? I need to hear from him. That just can't. It's almost an unbelievable story.
You know, there have been another part of this story. This is from Newsweek, but they're saying that there's actually been a lot of debate in Florida recently about laws that make it too difficult for families to sue doctors for damages when someone dies.
Yeah.
There was an attempt in February to repeal a law that prevents pain and suffering lawsuits against doctors when an adult patient dies. Point blank. Like, that's it.
Well, I just can't get over the fact that you removed...
But that measure was defeated.
Yeah,
thankfully.
Thank God.
Because can you imagine this happening and then you go to a lawyer and they're like, yeah, here's the law in Florida. You got no case.
Well, look, there's a difference between... I understand where people are coming from. Hey, man, if I've got a serious issue, right? I've got a massive coronary and you got 4 in there and you got to go in and clean stuff out. I get it. Stuff happens and you are walking a razor thin line. Like, no, there's a difference in, when something goes wrong, hey, I get it. But when you take out someone's liver and you say it's their spleen and you leave the spleen in, yeah, you should never practice medicine again. That's like if you're a pilot and you crash the plane, because you think that, you push down instead of up. You don't get to be like, whoops, my bad. I'm going to recover from that one.
Do we think jail here?
Yeah, you should. I mean, that's the...
Besides the money.
Yeah.
I mean, she's going to get a lot of money.
Yeah, I would hope that someone goes, to prison on that. That's just when you said like Oregon, I don't know why. I just never thought of anything would be that extreme. I was kind of thinking like someone took out the wrong kidney. Because I do know that when you go in for surgery, they make you sign, like, unfortunately, I've had a lot of surgery. So when you have a knee surgery or like when I tore my pec, you have to sign your initials on what side that they're cutting. Which is funny because like when I tore my pec, I had like a boob, but it had rolled up and was like sitting on my collarbone. I had like a weird fake boob on my upper chest. And they come in and about 4 different times they're like, so what side are we operating on? And I'm like,
the side with the mark on it, dummies.
Well, I was like the big giant lump in my chest. And you guys made the big mark on there. They asked me about 4 different times. And then before I went under, I had to take the marker and I had to do it in my left hand. They're like, can you initial? And I'm like, well, all right. So I did some sort of weird left-hand scribble on there. I mean, there's so many like safeguards for that. But what I wasn't planning on is some moron thinking that your liver was your spleen. I mean, I have like the most rudimentary, I'm a failed medical student. Like, there's no way that if you opened someone up and I even looked at a cadaver that I would think, there's no way I could get confused that the spleen was the liver. And I'm an idiot. I couldn't even get into medical school. I flunked out of pre-med after like a year and a half. And this dude's a surgeon?
Well, what if you're somebody working on the surgery with him?
Yeah, no one pointed that out and be like,
that might be his liver, Bob.
It's...
You want to double check that?
What?
Shut up.
Unless it just was a nightmare in there. Like it was all. Have you ever seen like an inflamed gallbladder and stuff? Like with all the stones in it? It's pretty.
That's what he's saying that he found.
It's pretty bad. But he didn't. It was the liver. One of the. Like every now and then when my brief little dalliance in that, we got to look at like diseased organs and they're pretty gnarly. Like if you ever look up like a gallbladder with all the stones in it, like the really bad ones, it is, it's not good. Well, I mean, that sucks.
That's one of the worst malpractice cases I've ever heard.
Yeah. And there is nothing that's going to bring that person back, but at least that lady is not going to have to worry about money ever again because that lady should be worth millions upon millions of dollars.
Yeah,
that's
true.
What if she hated her husband? And she's like, hey.
Well, I was going to pose the scenario. BTJ goes in for surgery. You guys are fighting a little bit. She wants to get married. You're like, I don't want to.
She did have her appendix out like a year or so ago.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. What if they just took out the
What
liver?
if you went to the doctor and slipped him a 50 and said, hey, take out her liver instead?
I'll sue you afterwards. Don't worry.
I'll give you some of the money.
We'll split the cost.
They talk you into cutting out something a little more vital.
God.
How do you feel about the pancreas? Because it's all in there. You've got the liver's on the right side, the spleen's on the left, and then the pancreas and the gallbladder kind of sit below it, if I remember correctly. So, maybe you can get in there and.
Could you permanently maim her?
You start cutting into that pancreas and see what happens there. I don't know. Poke around in there.
How hard is it to take out a vocal box?
You leave a sponge in there, right? Maybe some retractors. See what happens.
Man.
That's horrifying.
Well, I hope Bev does not hear our segment on this.
No, sorry, Bev, because that
That's
sucks.
brutal.
You know what she's going to do? She's going to get a big bumper sticker that says F medical malpractice, and it's going to have the years that her husband was alive.
Well,
Boy, that's bringing it back full circle
It is
right
full
there.
circle.
That was a first segment topic.
Well, it is true in the like whenever you go see a doctor or you see a surgeon or a specialist or whatever, we all want to believe that that person is good at what they do and are competent. But is that the only profession that you assume that the guy you're going to is good? Because like you wouldn't just go to any contractor and be like, well, this guy knows what he's doing, or any mechanic or any
Well, I
teacher.
think the contract, some people do.
Do they?
Well, I mean,
oh man,
if you don't know anyone and you need a contractor,
Yeah.
how the hell are you? The only thing you can go by is reviews.
Yeah.
And some of those,
See, I just think a lot of professions, people are naturally skeptical, and I think with doctors, we're naturally not skeptical.
Right.
Like this person's a doctor, they must know what they're doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like you have all that schooling and the boards and everything. That person has to know what they're doing, and you're like,
My surgeon buddy, I think I've told you this before, but my surgeon buddy says he could teach me to do what he does.
Yeah. Which
he's like, look, you got to go to a lot of school, and you probably wouldn't have gotten through that. But I'm telling you right now, you can do what I do.
I don't believe him. I
I think I do.
I don't.
You're like, I got it.
You're taking out a spleen. You're taking out a gallbladder.
Well, he does more. Well, I think I've told you before.
Yeah.
The bad stuff people put in their
Oh,
bums.
yeah.
Things like that.
Yeah.
Lower gastro stuff.
Well, maybe
he says he could. I mean, I have to believe him. I'm not a surgeon. He is.
The bar that I drink out on Fridays, Jerry's Tavern. Shout out Jerry's, great bar. The bartender there, Casey, who's a great bartender, she's a lot of fun. She's always cutting out, and so we always give her a hard time about cutting out, and she'll never drink when she's on the job. And it was a couple weeks ago, and we were like, it was kind of towards the end, and we're like, dude, have a shot with us. She goes, I can't. I'm staying dry till the semester's over. And we were like, oh, like, what are you in school for? And, I thought, bartender going to school, what would you think?
I mean, I don't.
Surgeon.
Really?
She's in residency for a surgeon.
Wow.
And
Is she hot?
And we were all like, what the hell? Surgery bartender. So maybe you're onto something there. Maybe you just, you tending bar on the weekends, cutting people open during the day. You were a bartender?
It's not that hard.
Apparently not. And she kind of said that. She said this job was more stressful. Like
what job?
Tending bar.
Yeah. Yeah, because people are awful.
Yeah, people are awful. And this one, people are
They're way better when they're sedated.
Yeah, just in there cutting people open.
All right. Well, rest in peace, Bill.
Yeah. Sorry, Bill.
Sorry, Bill.
At least your wife hopefully will be well taken care of.
Bill probably doesn't even know what happened.
No. He had no idea. Hey, it's not a bad way to go, right?
Yeah, in the ways of ways to go.
Just being under when it happens.
Just being under, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's a bummer you didn't get to say any goodbyes or whatever, but you didn't feel anything.
That's right. Like I said, having a lot of surgeries. I know people like when the BTJ had her appendix out. That was the first time she had ever had a surgery. That's the first time she'd ever been out. She was super nervous. And my daughter is getting her wisdom teeth out this week, and she's all nervous. And I'm like, dude, just. You won't, like, you go in there and you pass out and you wake up. There's zero to be nervous about. And they're like, what if I don't wake up? You won't know it. So who cares? You should never have, it's the least nerve-wracking thing in the world. Like, you literally are in a room and then it's a little chilly and then they like count backwards and then you're out and then you wake up and it's over.
But that is nerve-wracking to a lot of people.
But why? You're out.
Because you're giving up consciousness.
I find that silly. It's like the one you want to talk about, like Jesus take the wheel. Oh, I'm not even conscious for it. Like, Tom Cruise, it's in your hands at this point. Let's go.
All right, we'll wrap it up next on The Fan.
The home of dirt and spray.
If you don't have confidence in your offensive line, you're not
Yeah, this David Muir guy doing this debate tonight.
Yeah.
ABC, I think, is the...
Yeah.
He's on ABC.
Yeah.
That guy is so shockingly short. Do you remember we stood next to him on the sideline?
Oh, that's him.
I think it was Oregon, Ohio State.
Yes.
In Dallas.
I forgot about that. Yeah, because he doesn't look short on TV.
He
here.
is shockingly short.
Yeah, he's like Stephanopoulos short.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He is.
George is you can see George's feetsies. They don't reach the ground.
Oh, you mean George Slopadopoulos?
Yeah, he's got his little feetsies there swinging in the breeze. This guy is a handsome fellow though.
Did you hear the podium thing tonight? That Kamala's is actually smaller because she didn't want to appear smaller compared to Trump. That like he will tower over his podium, so they gave her a slight. They're not using the same size podiums for scale.
Interesting.
They have David Muir listed 5'11". No chance. No chance.
There's always that heightening thing. Yeah, no one wants to be a short king, man. You got to be everyone wants to be Stone Phillips out there with the rock jaw.
Stephanopoulos listed 5'5".
Yeah, he's a little guy.
Yeah, he's tiny.
Yeah, he's tiny.
That's about right.
It is shocking when you see a celebrity and they're really, really small. That was like when I walked by Kenny Chesney.
I saw
that was alarming.
There was an ad for he's tiny. There was an ad for Michael Bublé and Snoop. There was something that they were doing, some musical thing that they were doing, and they were all in the ad together, standing next to each other.
Yeah.
Michael Bublé. Now I know Snoop's really tall.
Yeah, Snoop's tall.
But there was another. I forget who it was. Was it Adele or somebody else was in the promo? And Bublé is way shorter than you think.
Well, a lot of times what they'll do, even in those photos, I know like Tom Cruise does this and Stallone, they make them even it out, kind of like the podium thing. Like they will in press photos and stuff, they will stand on things.
Little apple box.
Yeah, same thing in like movies. They don't like to, no one wants to appear short, which is kind of one of those silly things. You would think that of all the weird macho like male things, height is the most arbitrary, like somehow if you're short, you're less of a man. Dude, some of the scariest human beings I know are tiny little dudes, and they would wrap your ass into a pretzel. But like we have that thing of like, oh, I'm tall, I'm a man's man. Like, are you?
The little man syndrome thing is very real.
Right? Exactly.
But I guess it probably comes from years of hearing how small you are.
Sure. But it's just, I don't know. It's such a weird. I just think of all the things that you could have, that one has always been a strange one to me. And again, I've never been short, so maybe I just don't know what I'm talking about. But I've heard that from like short people. Man, I gave anything to be tall. I'm like, is it like that? Is it that great? Like I couldn't tell. Like well, I'd rather be short and in shape than tall and just some fat and some sort of fat ass.
Well,
Or how about this? Like
this is going to sound weird, but I've kind of never really understood insecurities about things that you can't control.
Oh, well, that is a little odd because that's most of the things that people are insecure about are things they can't control.
Right, but to me, it's just like, well, in other words, like, maybe it's not the insecurity of it, but it's more like why someone would make fun of somebody who has, like, I don't know, a small ween or something.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
that
exactly.
person, Suk, you can't control that.
No, it's not my fault.
It's not your fault. And so it's like, aha, you're so short. Well, yes, I'm short, but I have no control over that. Like, what do you want me to do?
Well, given the choice, like if I had to be 7'2" or 5'5", I'll take 5'5". I don't want to be 7'2". That seems like a nightmare. I'd much rather be short than I would super tall. Ooh. I think the world would be better off. I bet you if you're like 6'11", I'll bet you like everything from cars to airplanes and all that stuff. At least if you're a little fella, everything's comfortable, easy to find clothes. Seems like it'd be a better world.
All right, what's up next? We've got
Hot Corner.
It's Tuesday.
That's right.
For it must be a Tuesday.
It's hot.
Hot Corner coming up next. Stay tuned for that. We're back tomorrow, 3 to 7 on the Fan Good Night.
Turning on the nighttime into the day. Do the song about the sweet love. Do the song about the night. Really do the walk on